going to Florida, and we're going to bring you back a victory to Jackson. God to y'all!
What you say now, Chuck? Man, you a plumb fool, man.
It never gets old.
I love it, man. I laugh every time you play it.
Never, ever will it get old. What do you say there, Chuck? What do you say there, Chuck? Chuck, you're a
plum fool. Plum.
Hey,
fool.
Plum fool. That's another shirt idea. FAMU by 40, and on the back we just put Chuck, you a plum fool. That's how we just gonna put on it. Welcome to the O&G Strike Zone on another Wednesday night. Brian Fulford, Kelvin Rozier, Marcus Green. We are blessed to be with you for another show as we talk all things Florida A&M athletics and culture right here on the Black College Sports Network. Want to thank everybody for jumping in early, and because we got a loaded show for you tonight. Sure, a lot of people got some things they want to say and get off their chest. So that's what we got the good old chat rooms for on Facebook and YouTube. So we want to encourage you to, chat away. Who knows? Maybe we'll give out a link. Maybe we'll give a chance for people to call in. We can actually hear from Rattler Nation because I know you haven't had anywhere to really just vent. That's all right. That's what we're here for.
Hey, and you never know who's watching. You might get a response from a coach or two.
But that'd be an improvement. We have people who, that'd be an improvement considering all things considered. But that's right. Make sure you're following at O&G Strike Zone on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. That's where you can find us. So let me set the lineup for tonight's show. Obviously, we'll get into the hot topic right from the jump. We won't even mess around. But we're gonna do a pivot in the bottom of the first hour, get into a little Rattler roundup because there's a lot of other sports. I love the month of October. So we got a lot of other sports and things happening. We're gonna have a conversation with a couple of young Rattlers that are part of the FAMU Strikerz Soccer Club. That's right. FAMU has a soccer club, just in case you didn't know. And so their season is about to kick off. Pretty interesting. Get a chance to talk to them and find out what club life for a athlete is like in that respect. And then we'll get into talking about the men and women basketball team who had their media days today and yesterday. We'll also talk about volleyball. And then coming up in hour 2, a good friend of the Black College Sports Network, Carlos Brown. Of course, he of the Carlos Brown Show. Carlos is a Southern guy, and we had Carlos on last year. Great opportunity to sort of cross promote the mingling of the streams, as they might say it. So Carlos is going to come in. He's going to give us the skinny on Southern. And give us some behind the scenes thoughts on what's out there. And then we'll get into the last half hour of the show and really kind of break down this contest. I did some number diving and some crunching. So we're going to put the tail of the tape up because this is a matchup 1 versus 2 or preseason 1 versus 2, right? Everybody had, Southern. Well, I can't say everybody, but a lot of people have FAMU in the East, Southern in the West. So that's what's on our mind. But before we get going, let me find out how our guys are doing. Kelvin, how you doing tonight? Kelvin, how you doing? Hold on.
a little more. I'm a little more concerned than.
I'm concerned about that internet connection. What? I start that over again, Kelvin. You what now? I heard was concerned, and then you started getting sniped. All right, I don't know what happened.
I'm a little more concerned than I would normally be right now because of some things, and some comments and I just hope we focus this week.
All right, I'm gonna be quiet for a second.
We'll
Marcus, how you doing tonight? We'll get into it. Marcus, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing good. Had a good week so far. Everything's going well. After venting and ranting Saturday night, after that was over, I was good.
Yeah. Let me say this, and I get a chance. Can I, if I may? Normally I like to let y'all start, but if y'all would grant me the opportunity to start a little, because I did not get a chance to see the game live. I missed out on the live frustration that you guys. I really did. I missed.
It's overrated. The live frustration.
Right. Live frustration overrated. Hashtag overrated. So I missed out on it. I missed out on, the chance to fire off tweets to people who were probably people who were in a game but couldn't really see the tweet live, and anybody and everybody who would listen. The echo chamber that is Twitter/X. I wasn't able to see it until maybe about 11:30 somewhere on the road in Jacksonville as I was coming back from my game I'm broadcasting. But the one thing I will say is that broadcast was hard as hell to watch. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, hard as rock. That I felt like I was watching a high.
What do you mean, buckwheat?
That's not.
That's a young student. Hopefully,
trying to make his way.
He's trying to make his way. I've heard them do better.
Man, come on, man, y'all. Hey, man, we keep it real on the ONG, man. I'm sorry, student or not.
All right, look.
That was bad.
And he was holding it down by himself.
Exactly.
Because he didn't have he was play by play and color. So yeah, it was a little.
Man, I remember the shade. Oh, they eating popcorn. They must have popcorn for the game. The shade, man. The shade. I ain't letting that joke off. Bump that.
Hey, first off, what I had to deal.
As my boy said, that Bama.
Lord have mercy. Look, what I realized was, yo, you wrong. That was a bring your own juice game, because there was absolutely no energy in that. Do we call it a stadium? What do we call that?
It's a stadium.
All right, it's a stadium.
It was a sparsely attended stadium, but
there are high school stadiums across the South that have better atmospheres than what I got from that game. Now, again, I'm watching from and listening to the back. There was no energy, nothing. So, it may be overhyped when you hear Coach talk about the long ride to Itabena and all this other stuff. And I was just thinking, as I'm watching this game and I'm just like, man, the energy in that place was rough. It was like our first home game. That's what it reminded me of. It reminded me of our first home game. It lacked energy. So was I surprised when I think back on it of how we started that game? Absolutely not. I wasn't surprised. Now, this is what I will say this too. The defense continued to play lights out. I mean, what was Mississippi Valley State's total yardage in that game? Was it under 100? Did they get over 150? Maybe.
I don't think so.
They had one.
It was like 147, right? Somewhere around now.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it was like one big play. And really, they probably could have had more. I mean, they just really were flying around and knocking heads off. And I mean, it looked like our defense was playing somebody's JV, like college JV team, right? And so then I went over to the offensive side, and because all I heard was how bad QB1 was and all these other things, right? I heard all that. So I'm watching to kind of see how bad he is. And, the one thing that came to mind is I'm watching, and I want y'all to tell me if I'm seeing what I'm seeing is if I counted the number of times that he did not look at the underneath route or the guy that was the check down, it was almost like he was, watch me here, coached to hit the deep pass. Like, I'm going to throw the deep ball regardless. I don't give a damn. I'm throwing the deep ball because I don't expect these guys to be able to hang with us. And there were passes that I was like, why are we throwing that pass? Why not the guy in the look at the guy in the flat? I paused it a couple times and I kind of scratched my head. And then I go to the play calling. First 6, 7 plays were pass, 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 pass. The one big run by Jennings was pretty nice, but it almost looked like we didn't want to. Hey, follow me. It looked like we were shading to not show Southern anything. Like, if we've been working on something, we were like, nah, we're not going to show anything this game. We just going to kind of be real vanilla. And I just watched that, and I just was really, I get the people's frustration with the quarterback play, but the play calling was rough. It was head scratching. But then again, I kept wondering and asking, and nobody has asked this question. Like, how come the quarterback didn't throw and hit the guy underneath? I mean, I know he's seeing the guy down 10, 15 yards. And I heard Coach say today, 220 quarterback club, that, you know, a lot of receivers didn't do what they were supposed to do with the routes and everything. But I kept saying, but the guy underneath is wide open. The guy in the flat's wide open. There's, you know, and now granted, every receiver seemed to be running 10-yard routes. But I don't give a damn. You know, it's like, hey, we're just going to run 10 yards, 15 yards down the field. Nobody's going to ever turn around. But the guy in the flat was open. The guy in the flat was open practically every play. And I'm thinking, if we got all these weapons that we have, why aren't we hitting that guy? So that was just my impressions of the first half. You know, definitely we should have ran the ball a little more. But I don't know. Kelvin, you're a coach. You explain it to me. What did I see? And, you know, I know, you know, a lot of people are critical, but that was just my observation of what I saw. Kelvin, what did you see? Tell me what I saw.
You almost traumatized me again, Brian. I had to take a deep breath while I spoke.
Thank you.
What I will say is, we talked about this team reaching its full potential, particularly offensively. Everybody knew it would come down to play calling and quarterback play. And that's what we are. The frustration comes with the inconsistency. There's an inconsistency, as you pointed out, with the play calling, and therefore there's an inconsistency with the execution of the passing game. Now, what we don't talk about enough is, I think we getting what we got. We understand we got a body of work. We got about almost 20 games with this guy, with the same QB. What we don't talk about is why we ain't doing more to establish the run. Because one of the keys to helping more potent running game, that's why you brought in all these transfers on the line to fill in. You brought in transfers on the line to go with what you already had. You brought in transfers in the backfield, and you've got different kind of backs, you know. So I did see one play where they ran a wildcat with a running back. I believe it was number 1, and I do see where they put the H-back back there some, but we have to establish the run and be better at the run. And just running that RPO on first down into the middle of the line is not good play calling. Everybody's trying to force us to pass the ball on first or second down or stop the run. We can still run it, but we have to call plays that are going to take them into consideration. We know that Southern's going to follow the same blueprint, and they can execute at a high level. But I think because we don't commit to the run and we haven't done a good job of running. I mean, we ran the first play, then we had about 7, 8 passes in a row. 3 of them that hit Mississippi Valley State DBs right in the hand. That was our first couple of drives. 3 and out. Punt. You know, the only offensive touchdown in the first half was a defensive touchdown, where they snapped the ball over the receiver head. On the quarterback head. What got us going in the third quarter, late in the third quarter, almost fourth quarter, was when we put
Short
her back
passes.
in and he showed some explosiveness in Wilhoit. And we ran the ball. And then we threw a short pass to him and got him in space. Those are the kind of plays we're going to have to, we see. That's what our quarterback, quarterback one, that's what he executes at a high level. The simple reads where he ain't got to think, where he don't have to. I heard Coach talk to the 220 club too. He didn't have to think about, when he has to think about the second or third read, when he has to think too much, that's where the mistakes happen. Keep it simple. Run game, short passing game. We got enough weapons. That's how this offense can be effective.
Well, yeah, and that's to my point about why is the option going deep to start? It was like everything was trying to throw 10, 15 yards down the field. Why not start with the short stuff, then build up to the bigger throws? That's what I couldn't, and I didn't see that change at all in the first half. At nowhere, not from the first drive to the second drive to the third. And that was bewildering. I don't know. Look, I gotta believe, QB1 is a smarter dude. Now, if he doesn't have the ability, meaning he's not allowed to check at the line of scrimmage, or if he's not coached up to start from the short game, like I hate to use the guy out in Colorado who used to be at Jackson State, but that dude is completing like 70-something%, and a lot of his stuff starts short intermediate game, and then they build up to the bigger throws. I just wonder. We want to beat QB1 up, but like Coach said, it's on him. It's really on him, because there's got to be something in the coaching, teaching, or philosophy that has him consistently throwing downfield and not picking up the guys underneath. It to me.
Well, and the accuracy. The accuracy. Do not ask your players to do something they're not capable of doing. And that's what I feel like we keep trying to do. We're trying to run a system with a quarterback who has certain skill sets that are strong and certain that are not. And so that middle and long, he's not accurate. He's not accurate when you try to make him throw long passes. And he also not accurate when he has to hold the ball. You got to establish the run game, and you got to keep the short patterns and more and more. And when you throw on the intermediate, throw more drag routes and stuff. You got to keep it simple. If you don't do that, you're going to continue to have inconsistency. You know what his strengths are. You got to play to him.
Marcus, what are your thoughts? What did you see?
Yeah, I'm pretty much the same thing that you guys saw in that the first half. I was surprised at how much winging it we were doing, like the first few drives. My prediction last week was over 200 yards rushing. I think we got 130, for the game, and we were averaging like 6 yards a carry, after the fact. But like the first couple of drives, I was just surprised at how much we threw the ball and didn't try to establish the run, especially just to get some rhythm. And I guess the doldrums of traveling out there and all of the logistics things, it would seem that, getting your offensive linemen, getting some contact and getting them energized a little bit would start off with. And plus, like Kelvin said, we have like a slew of running backs. We have a lot of talent on the offensive line. And even though you can't overlook a team, Valley's just coming off a 45-3 shellacking. It's their first home game, and what energy could have been had at the stadium, you pounded down their throat in the first drive, it's gone. Now, the defensive touchdown probably could have done that, but there was just too much opportunity for them to stay in the game. And so I was really disappointed in the first half, in the fact that we didn't pull away in the first half. And if not for blocking the back during that interception run back, we would have been down a half. We would have been down 14-10. And it was just based on the talent gap, there was too much there wasn't enough of a separation for me in the first half where I think we really could have done so. And it was a combination of play calling, discipline, or lack of discipline, because I think we had a couple of defensive penalties. I don't recall exactly. I don't remember if they were
We had
face mask.
13,
No,
5 in
13
one
total in
drive.
the game.
yeah, and there was a couple that were a little shady, like when he pulled somebody down by I think he sacked the quarterback by the shoulder pad and they called face mask. And there was another one that seemed a little shaky. I think it was all on the same drive that kind of extended them.
Lay
And I don't
hit in the
remember if
end
that's
zone.
yes. So I don't remember if that was the drive where they scored the touchdown or if that was the drive where we stopped them on a fourth down play. By the way, that fourth down play, it looked like if Eric Horn hadn't gotten in there, their offensive line had gotten enough push to get the first down to get a first and goal. If he hadn't popped them, and that's the play where they were looking at it to see if that was targeting when he knocked the running back down on fourth down. But it looked like their offensive line had got enough push that he would have ran up in there. But it just seemed like the energy, we matched their energy and the crowd's energy in the first half.
That's why I said that game was a bring your own juice game. You got, and I'll tell you what's disappointing to hear, and it's the second time I've heard Coach say this about our first half effort as a team. He called it out after the West Florida first half.
On the offensive side.
On the offensive side, yes. And he called it out in this game in the first half. That's now, I mean, maybe with the exception of Texas Southern in a couple weeks or 3 weeks or whatever we played him, that or Lincoln. But I mean, really, if you want to be this kind of championship level team, I mean, we think back to teams that are rated number one, and what do they do in the first half? They go beat the snot out of somebody 45-0 in the first half, and then let the subs play. We got
Central just did it to the same team without their starting quarterback.
But I don't know if they beat them 45-0 in the first half. But I get what you're saying, though. My point is, I know Coach is putting in all these other players, and he wants other guys to get some playing time. Damn that. I'm like, go beat these dudes 45-0 in the first half. Then let's go put the second team in. Put Muratovic in. Put everybody else in. Put the second unit in after we done whoop they tail 45-0. Now, maybe that's what we were trying to do. I heard a couple guys in the chats talking about, we were jumping out there trying to hit the long ball too early. I don't know. Maybe that's what we were doing. But if that's what we were doing and how we were doing it, that was a flawed plan.
Well, I think, and I'm, grossly, I'm projecting on Coach Simmons' statement because I saw the article where he said he wanted to see some other guys play, but I'm assuming that he assumed that we were going to be enough ahead that we would put some other guys in to get some playing time, not necessarily just rotating it in because it's a nip and tuck game until the fourth quarter, but that we would have sufficient enough of a lead that we can put them in. And that's the other thing, just looking at the season, I'm surprised. We've seen Junior, we've seen other people sub in, but especially with the teams that we have more talent than and the defense is playing well, we haven't put them away enough in order to be able to get meaningful playing time other than the last 2 minutes of the fourth quarter, such that Junior and that Kareem Burke and others can get some snaps like a whole quarter or something. And we have the talent to do that. We just have not done it. I don't know if we scored, I think, 31? Is 31 our cap this year so far in the first 5 games?
It feels like it. 31, yeah.
Because we had 28 against Jackson, 31 against Valley. I think we had 30 or 31 against West Florida.
Yeah.
Gosh,
I can't remember. But I tell you that is the reason why, and there's something to it now, and I see it, and I've said it, I've called it out a couple times now. There's a reason why FAMU is 1-5 against the spread under Coach Simmons with a spread of 17 points or more. This game was opened at 27 points, got bet up to 30, which I looked at 30. I'm like, there's no way we're covering 30. I hate to say that. I mean, Kelvin, you probably would have. I know you like, we beat these guys by 35, and maybe we should have. But I know us, and for some reason, we don't. The mindset or the strategy maybe needs to be a little bit different in these kind of games. Kill a mosquito with an axe, that kind of thing. Instead, we using a fly swatter and we using raid, we using spray, we using raid spray instead of just coming out with an axe and knocking their head block off. So just
we play in spurts. We execute. We on the opposite side. We execute in spurts. We only give you 3 or 4 drives a game, and it's usually back to back. I don't know where that bad habit came from and why it's that way, but we only execute in spurts.
Grade. If we had to give a grade, Marcus, what kind of grade? Offense, defense, overall, what kind of grade?
Offense, I'd give a C, just based on that first half and actually basically the first 3 quarters, and then pulling out the end. So I'll say it's pretty average, given the competition and what our aspirations are. The defense, I would give A-, B+, somewhere in that range. They held them to 1 touchdown, and even that one, they started running the ball, and then they just threw it over the top, got in the red zone. They did stop them 1 time, but they didn't stop them the second time they got in the red zone in the first half. Special teams did okay. The kickoffs still come up a little short. Overall, I give the team a B.
Kelvin, how are you grading this one? Offense, defense, special teams, coaching? You'll be like Dr.
I would just say overall C. Everybody get a C. Everybody. C-. Valley was a bad team. So for me, there's
worst team in FCS.
Valley was a really bad team. So I can't grade on the curve. C-.
No. Yeah, I agree. I'd have to give the offense a C-. Might even say level to a D. The defense with an A is the only reason why the overall grade is probably you do the average on that. What a B+? Is that what it kind of averaged out to, or a solid B? Yeah, because again, expectation, 30-point favorite. Again, 30-point favorite. Not even close to covering that. And you looked at the performance. Hey, look, 31-7 is a good win. But again, we're supposed to be the number 1 team in HBCU football. That's supposed to be the worst team. Matter of fact, that's the worst team in FCS football, 128 teams. You only beat them by 24.
And it was nip and tuck until the 4th quarter. We were one interception, 1 turnover, one blown coverage from being
one mistake. Yeah. The turf grabbing somebody, something stupid happening from being behind. I got you totally. All right.
One fumble punt.
Exactly. One anything stupid, crazy, unexpected happening.
Yeah.
All right.
If it wasn't for the penalties, they would have been ahead, like Marcus said.
All right, let's do this. We're gonna come from off the football field, and we're gonna get into the Rattler Roundup on the other half and talk about some other sports, and then we'll come back and talk about FAMU football at the top of hour 2. Hang in there with us. You're watching the O&G Strike Zone right here on the Black College Sports Network. We'll be back in 2.
It's never too early to plant the seed, to share the tradition, and instill a sense of pride in your HBCU with your little ones. HBCU Pride and Joy Children's Boutique helps you share your school spirit with a wide selection of adorable kids apparel and accessories officially licensed from your favorite HBCU. Visit hbcupridejoy.com and follow us on all social media at HBCU Pride Joy on Facebook and Twitter.
This is Brian Fulford. AD Drew and I are co-hosts of the BCSN Sports Wrap. We talk about all things related to HBCU athletics. From the games, teams, coaches, and fan interest stories, we cover it all. You can find our shows on Facebook at BCSN Sports Wrap, YouTube at MyJBN Online, and everywhere you listen to podcasts like Anchor, Spotify, Google, and Apple Podcasts. You can also find the show on the Jericho Broadcast Network's app. Make sure to download. We look forward to you joining the conversation and being a part of the show.
I'm returning to Clinton Paris, and Tampa's my community. I grew up here, went to school here, and my wife and I make our home here. What makes Tampa special are its people. So when I represent someone injured in my community, it's personal. Call my office and speak to a real lawyer and not some referral service. I will fight the insurance companies to get the settlement that you deserve. At the law office of Clinton Paris, we take the pain out of being heard.
Since 2002, Empowerment Resources, Inc., a nonprofit organization, has empowered more than 1,500 youth and adults in Duval and surrounding counties through its programs Journey into Womanhood, Girls Mentoring, Life Skills for Teens, and Parenting Education Coaching. To get involved with programs, volunteer, or donate, visit www.empowermentresourcesinc.org. Follow us on social media, facebook.com/empowerment.resources and instagram.com/empowermentjax.
All right, hello, welcome back to the ONG Strike Zone. Brian, Marcus, Kelvin, pleasure to be joined now by a couple of Rattlers who are part of the FAMU Strikerz soccer club here at Florida A&M. We're getting to the Rattler Roundup, and I told you there's a lot of sports happening right now across campus. So want to say hello and welcome to Arrington Porter and Justin Smith. How you guys doing tonight?
Doing good.
All right. Make sure do we have Justin? I think Justin's trying to get things figured out with his end. So as soon as we get him, so Arrington, why don't we start with you? Welcome to the show. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Hold on. Here goes Justin. I think we got Justin. Hold on. Let's see. All right. Justin, are you there?
Yes, sir. Can you guys hear me loud and clear?
We got you.
Yes.
We got you, man. Thank you.
All
Thank
right.
you for joining us. So
You're
let's
welcome.
just kind of start with a little bit about your background, your major, where you from, and how long, and your role with the club program. Arrington, we'll go with you first.
All right. So here on the highest of Seven Hills, I am a physical therapy student. I am in my second year, just starting in this semester. So it's going well. It's going well. We'll say that. But I joined the club about, I want to say this time last year. So I'm relatively new. The squad itself, unfortunately, like I said, our captain wasn't able to join. Nick, he has been with the club since when we didn't even have the turf field where they were practicing in the small lot by the ROTC building over by the stadium. So, but I'm still grateful to be a part of something big. We're up and coming, and I'm really excited for what we got planned.
Nice. And I'm sorry if I missed. Where did you say you were from again?
And I actually forgot that. My apologies. I'm from the Duval County, Jacksonville, Florida.
Duval. Nice. All right. And then let me go over here to Justin. Justin, let people know kind of a little bit about you at FAMU and your role with the club.
So I was originally born in Decatur, Georgia, and I moved down to Tallahassee, Florida around, I'd say, 7th grade. I see some hands. You're from Decatur too?
Daggone right.
Yes, sir. My mom went to Cedar Grove.
Ah, okay.
Yes, sir. But so I moved down here in middle school. I'm the vice president of the FAMU soccer club. I joined, I'd probably say the same time around AJ, because I actually transferred to FAMU from playing college soccer up at Chowan University in North Carolina. So I'm roughly new to FAMU as well. But as you said, the club's still going. A lot of people are joining in, especially from last year. Still was small, but it's going all good. And I'm majoring in business. I'm going into marketing.
All right. SBI, right?
Yes, sir.
All right. Beautiful. Beautiful. I'm an SBI grad myself. So, Justin, as the vice president, tell Rattler Nation a little bit about the club and how it differs from what most people are accustomed to as it relates to varsity sports and some of the things that makes the club unique.
All right. Well, I would say first off, just uniqueness in terms of the group. We can actually allow people who are at TCC who are transferring over to FAMU once they're done, they can actually play on our team. So it's not like we're just strictly FAMU students. TCC students can come play for us as well, which we have a couple of those guys because they'll be transferring to FAMU once they're done. But I'd say for the most part, as you compare to the varsity, really, there are a lot of similarities. Like we have to do some of our own fundraising. It's just really things like that. There isn't necessarily our coach. He's just a guy who's helping out, which we appreciate so much. Big shout out to Coach Chris Holland. He helps out with a lot of soccer around in the urban community, just all around Tallahassee, really. So we're glad that he can come step up with us. But in terms of that, I'd say pretty much it is kind of similar to a varsity team. We had tryouts, we have cuts. So it's not just, everybody is going to come out and play, and that it is more serious than I would think a lot of people don't really understand. And that's also why we're trying to make a point with this season too, because there's not really an expectation from something that hasn't been there over the constant years. So the only way for us is really up. So we're building from the ground up.
Gotcha. Marcus, go ahead.
Yes, thank you guys for coming on, accepting our invitation. I guess my question, how do you go about, now you mentioned that you have tryouts. I wanted to ask, how do you go about building your team? What's the ideal number? And how do you build support as it relates to, and I know soccer's been growing, steadily over the years. I know the U.S. has been trying to build it, maybe not to the same level as what you see in some other countries, but it has had some groundswell of support. But as you know, down south, football is king, or at least American football. So how do you generate the interest? How do you, in terms of not only recruiting players or getting people to come out, but also in terms of generating fan support?
Well, AJ is actually over our social media, so he does a lot of that work that you see on Instagram, whether it's the flyers, putting it out there. And we go through a lot through the rec center. We have a good relationship with them. I actually work at the rec center, so AJ will send me a flyer or some newsletter that we need to put out, and I'll get it to my supervisor and we'll put it out there. But in terms of support, really is just the people we know. FAMU is a tight-knit community, so people will come out and support. But I would say the main thing is results. If people see, the soccer team, they're winning this, this, and this, I think people will more gravitate towards coming to see these games, and it'll bring more and more. And so I think that's just a crucial part, just getting it out there, letting it be known that there actually is a soccer team out there, because a lot of people, they'll hear, you play soccer? I didn't even know we had a team. That's one of the main things that we hear as a player. So I think it's just getting our name out there.
And if you don't mind if I interject, so on that topic of trying to get noise generated for us to, like, for people to know that we're here. That's why I like to tell my teammates, if we can, like I'm wearing now, try to wear our shirts. I've been to plenty of football games. People ask me, hey, we have a soccer team. I'm like, yeah, you should check us out. I talk to them about it because, like you said, American football is king here, but that doesn't mean, we shouldn't build. Mm-hmm. Like I want to lean back to talking about our coach, Chris Holland. What the organization he's a part of is called North Florida Madrid, and they are basically sort of like the AAU team for soccer, to where they, they host multiple age groups. They host many different players that go on to play not just at North Florida Madrid. Some of the players actually train with us through Coach Holland. Some of them actually through that program, like through that club, get scholarships. They get recognition. They go high. And that's something we want to build upon, because as we grow the game here at FAMU, as we get the name out, as we get people to show up, we get more interest like, hey, you know, I've been playing soccer for X amount of years, and I may just be a student. You know, we don't have a D1 team like the other colleges do, but it's still that quality of talent that you can still play soccer. And, you know, to allude to that, to the tryouts and cuts and stuff like that, Coach Chris is very strict on what he wants, and it's not strict as in a bad thing, but he knows, like, he has a really good eye for players. I can tell you that. He has a really good eye for players. He knows if you can play the position that you say you play. He knows if you actually know what you're doing with the ball, if you actually seeing the game like how he wants you to see it. And that really helps us as a squad, because then we are able to become better players, play better on the field, get those results we need to show, not just, honestly, not just the school, not just our friends and family, but show ourselves. We have a squad, we have a team, and we're just like University of Florida's club team. We are just like Georgia Southern's club team, just like FSU's club team across the train tracks. That we are not just, we're new, but the game is not new to us. It's just we approach it differently than everybody else, and that's the shock factor that we got for us.
Well, thank you.
Kelvin, go ahead. We got Kelvin.
I'm interested to know, who do y'all play, and also, hello, y'all got me?
Yeah, we got you. We got you. Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, I was wondering, your competition. Who do you all play? Where do you play your games at? Do you travel? And is there a wish that you all go from club level to perhaps varsity level sometime in the future?
So right now, our closest game is actually this weekend. We'll be at Georgia Southern in Statesboro, Georgia, for the Southern States Cup. So we'll be playing 3 guaranteed games. So 1 game on Friday, 2 on Saturday, with the potential to go to the semifinals of the tournament on Sunday morning, and the final game Sunday afternoon. So right now we are still on the up and coming side of scheduling those games and stuff like that when it comes to more opportunities. But that also requires communication to be a two-way street. So we can reach out to as many clubs as we want to say, hey, you know, we're here, we want to play. If y'all can get us a weekend where y'all come to us, we'll go to you. And it's just that two-way communication between other clubs. And then in the spring, this coming spring, we'll be actually in a spring league. So we'll have like a commissioning body. We'll have similar to what we see in with the FAMU football team and any other D1 sports and stuff like that, where we will have a set schedule. We'll know who we're playing, when we're playing them, and all we need to do is show up and show out. And then, Justin, you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, so like as you mentioned, on Friday, we actually play UCF. And this weekend we play UCF, we play GSU. And a lot of as you communicated with these other sports teams and clubs teams, I have a lot of friends who I've played travel ball with from 7th grade to when I graduated high school, who are also on some of these club teams. So a lot of the communication can be easy. I can reach out and say, hey, one of my best friends, he's the president of the FAU club team. So we're trying to schedule something to go play them down in Boca sometime in the spring. We have an upcoming game with Morehouse we're trying to figure out. With when the hurricane came in earlier this year, they were actually supposed to come down and play us in Tallahassee that week, but it got pushed back, so we had to figure out a different time. So we're gonna figure out a way where we can come down or go up to Atlanta to play them, and they'll come down. So it's really just figuring out a set time. Like we have a game during homecoming against UNF. If you guys want to come out and support and watch that game.
Oh yeah.
So a lot of it, like AJ just said, is just
we need a big crowd for that.
It's just communication.
So where are the games played at? When you guys play, where are you playing at?
We'll be playing on the rec fields where the turf is. That's our field. We'll be playing there.
It's behind the rec center.
Okay. And so if anyone who's not familiar, is that, let me see, that's
right across from the FAMU PD.
Okay, that's what I kind of thought. That way you head a little south, a little further from the baseball stadium, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, sir.
Literally across the street from the baseball
stadium. Across the street from the baseball stadium. So that way people, let me ask this. So let me ask the finances, because I got a big time FAMU supporter here. Kenya asking, does the club get funding from student government, SGA?
I don't believe so right now.
Yeah. A lot of our fundraising just comes from within. We'll do a bunch of fundraisers throughout the year. Like we just finished up a Double Good popcorn fundraiser, and I believe we raised about $4,500, somewhere around that range. And that'll go into our travel, us getting uniforms, gear, things like that. And so just the fundraiser was, I'd say, about 4 days, and we raised $4,500, which is pretty good if you ask me.
It is.
Yeah, that's really good.
So we'll do a bunch of those fundraisers throughout the year. And with that, it's really just booking our hotel and payment to play these games. And also just there is some fundraising from the rec center since we are through them, but it isn't like how the school funds the NCAA programs, obviously, because that's actually FAMU athletics, which I'd like to put out there too. I know we are a club team and we are FAMU, but we are completely different from FAMU athletics. We're mostly with the FAMU rec center.
Okay. So it's the rec center who organizes, if you're going to have a match, as you mentioned, that you're trying to schedule, that's going to be during homecoming, that the rec center sort of foots the bill and they get the referees and organize and set all that up. Is that how that works?
So it's kind of, we'll go to the rec, we'll say, hey, we have a game, or we're trying to schedule a game this day, say for homecoming, October 28th. And it's here. Can we schedule it to use the field for this certain time and all that? But to answer Ms. Sykes' question, we can ask SGA for certain special allocations, but that's usually for the spring semester, since we'll be in the spring league that year, in that semester.
Okay. That's good. I'm trying to cover as many thoughts and questions here because how many? And again, the club has been around for how many years? I know I saw somebody in the chat say there used to be an intramural soccer team back in the day.
Yep.
We got a lot of old school Rattlers here, so they know. So how many years has the soccer club been in its current form as a FAMU Strikerz? How many years has it been existing?
Now, Mr. Bob Carroll, who works at the rec center, he said it's been around for a while, but it kind of died down a little bit over the last couple of years. And as AJ mentioned, our president, Nick Haynes, who I actually grew up playing with in Atlanta, he kind of lit the fire again with this, and with more and more people finding out and all that, we've sort of grown. So I'd say the intramural team has been around for a while, but it's kind of getting back on its feet, I'd say. And that's why this year is such a big building block for us, since we'll be joining a league again. We'll actually be playing games. And it's not just, we're going to scrimmage FSU once and then that's it. But we're actually playing for something. We're actually playing to go to nationals and make a run for it.
Right. Okay. So look, let's do this. I want you to give out the information so that people can follow. How can they donate? And then when we get, obviously you're gonna keep us updated. I'm looking here on Instagram at FAMU Strikerz. That's StrikeRZ. Okay, that's how you can find them on Instagram. And the Southern States Cup is this weekend. You take on UCF at 7 p.m. That's what day is the 6th? That's Friday night. And then on Saturday, what is that, Western Carolina that you play at noon?
Yes.
Yes, it's
And
Western.
then what, UNC, is that UNG? Who is UNG? That's
University of North Georgia.
North Georgia.
Okay. And that's at 6 p.m. And so the games are played at Georgia Southern.
Yes.
Georgia Southern. Yes, sir.
Okay. So here's what we got to make sure. Arrington, you're in charge of social media. So you got to make sure you tag us at the results so that we can make sure we can get it out. And,
absolutely.
And then we're going to also have you guys back on before the spring starts, so that way people can stay aware of what you guys are doing as well. So Justin or Arrington, give out the plugs. Let people know how they can find you. Give out the plugs.
All right. So like you said, you can follow us on Instagram at FAMU Strikerz. So FAMU STRIKERZ. And that's actually our sort of main source. We do have a Twitter account by the same @name, FAMU Strikerz. We're slowly getting back into that. It was sort of defunct for a time, but outside of that, we're going to branch into Facebook for the older, for the alumni, stuff like that. That was no disrespect. I promise you, that was no disrespect.
It's all good. It's all good.
But
I love
it. We want to get more. We want to get more action to the team. We want to showcase not just me and Justin. We want to showcase our teammates. We want to show the university that we are a growing club, showing prospective students that, hey, even if you show up to FAMU, we don't have a D1 team, but we have a team that is D1.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just really just getting the brand out there. We want to build. I'm honestly honored to be a part of this. My undergrad was University of Central Florida. Ironic that we played them first game, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I never had the opportunity to represent my university at such a level playing soccer, and that's just always been a dream of mine since high school, middle school. So I'm beyond blessed to be in this position. I'm really looking forward to what we got.
Nice. So here's a good question here from the chat. Is there a women's Strikerz soccer club as well?
Yes, there is. Yes, there is. So I think they're actually waiting on the process we had to last year, which is to finalize them getting added to the league. So I believe next year they'll be in a league. So this year is kind of a gradual period. They're still training throughout this to get ready. They're getting more members. So they practice Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and we're on Tuesday, Thursday. But yes, there is a women's team.
Okay. I have a couple of quick questions before you guys go. I know I asked this when we reached out. I noticed some last names that sounded familiar. That may be legacy FAMU folks. And I don't know if you know of anybody on the team who are the sons of FAMU alums that are on the team. And it's the second, the logo. When I go on your page or at least your Instagram account, that logo, have y'all thought about getting those? Are those part of your uniform or any merchandising with that logo? Because it's really nice for anyone who likes that type of stuff.
Right now, that's actually a great idea. I'm gonna write that down. Because currently we don't have anything like that. Big shout out to our club captain Nick. Nick was the one who made the logo, right, Justin? I believe so.
Yes, he did.
Yeah. So the idea is to use that logo, hopefully going forward. Right now, we just have a basic logo on the incoming uniforms that say FAMU Soccer with the rattler head and stuff like that. But that is something we could definitely talk about sort of in the e-board, maybe branch out to our treasurer, ask logistics about that. Because that would actually be another good way to help fund the club. You know, it gets paraphernalia out there, gets exposure, and then it also helps us get funds to where we can you know, continue going to these tournaments, continue being in these leagues, because we all know money runs the world, and unfortunately, that's something we got to deal with. So really helping us out financially, I'll definitely bring that up in our e-board meetings. Because
even if you have a patch or something, because I know you're not going to get a full blown MLS or
absolutely
soccer, like a uniform shirt, because I know that would be way out of your price range. Even if you get a T-shirt mocked up and like a soccer uniform with the patch. I don't know if we can show it. I don't think we have it in our slides, but
which one with the logo?
The FAMU Strikerz logo.
Yeah. Hold on here. I'll do this real quick. I just pulled it up on Instagram, so I'll show it right there. Boom, right there.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's the logo there. Yeah. So hopefully, I don't know how well that comes into everybody, but you can see it there. But yeah, I want to say there was somebody who had produced FAMU soccer kits, like the jersey. I want to say maybe 5 years ago. I don't know what happened to that, but yeah, merchandise sales, big way to go, big fundraiser for you guys. If you can, you know, because you know we want to wear stuff that says orange and green, and we always looking for something different. So if you're able to get into the merchandising market, that might turn into be a good fundraising venture for you guys, you know.
And promotions.
Yeah. If people want to support, if people want to donate to your club, how can they do that?
Okay, so our we use Cash App. It is FAMU all capital FAMU soccer. So it'd be $ FAMU all caps, and then soccer in lowercase SOCCER.
All right. So that's so basically you can give right there. $ FAMU soccer right there on the Cash App. That's how people can donate. Yeah, you want to make that visible somewhere on your Instagram and Twitter, so that way Rattlers can donate, even if it's $18.87. You know, we in that mode. So I mean, you want to take advantage of all that. So anything you can. So you guys, Rattler Nation, who are watching us, please make sure to follow. First off, follow on Instagram, FAMU Strikerz, STRIKERZ. And then if you can, support on the Cash App, $ FAMU soccer. One more time for those who might have missed it right there. All right.
And
yeah, go ahead, Justin.
Mr. Green, I was just gonna answer your first question when you asked about FAMU alum or any family. So my dad actually is a FAMU alum. He went there for his grad school, and he currently serves as a university ombudsman. And then his mom, my grandmother, actually taught at FAMU for 20 years, and she's in the Gallery of Distinction in the College of Education.
All right.
And then my family itself, a lot of my family members are FAMU alumni. Both my parents went here. Both my parents went here. I have plenty of aunts and uncles who went here. So my blood is orange and green, and trust me, I heard it all when I chose UPF. But hey, I'm here. I'm here.
Yeah.
I'm here now. So,
hey, look, as my friend Keith called the city that you're in, transfer Hassie. It's all good. It's all good. that you know, you always find your way back home to the highest of Seven Hills. It don't matter. Somehow you started over there. Look, I live in Orlando, so I know how beautiful it is down here. It's easy to get caught up, but you got to come home. So you came home. It's all good. It's how you finish, not where you start.
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, hey guys, have much success this weekend. Safe travels up to Georgia Southern. We hope you guys perform well, pick up 3 wins and 2 more, and bring a trophy back. Make sure to tag us at ONG Strike Zone. We'll make sure to share it out with the people. Your results. Okay. All right. Gotta thank Arrington and Justin for joining us.
Yes, sir.
Thank you guys. Appreciate you guys. Have a good night now.
All right, you too.
All
Thank
right.
you.
All right. We appreciate those guys for joining us. Yeah, there was the soccer thing, man. I tell you what, it's that growing sport. It's that growing sport
Yes.
that's going. So we appreciate you guys for showing those guys some support. Please make sure you go follow them on Instagram, and I know they're getting their Twitter and all this stuff together. Okay, let's take a break and come back. We're gonna get into this matchup. We got the voice of Southern University athletics, Carlos Brown, ready to join us, and he's gonna come into the snake pit. I know he got 3 rattlers on him. He's gonna have to watch out. Get struck from the left, struck from the right. But no, we're gonna treat Carlos with love. I'm watching Carlos in the background. It's funny. All right, so Carlos, hang in there. 2 minutes. Let's take a break. Come back. Carlos is going to join us. We're going to get into some deep talk on FAMU Southern. It's FAMU Southern week, and hopefully we get the kind of matchup that everybody in the SWAC thinks we're going to get. All right, so we'll be back in just a moment. You're watching the ONG Strike Zone right here on the Black College Sports Network.
If you think all pads are exactly the same, think again. This is Always Ultra Thins reinvented with the Always Triple Protection System. This pad wicks gushes 90% faster, absorbs even more so you can feel dry, and locks odors in. Rethink your pad for up to 100% leak-free and odor-free comfort with the totally reinvented Always Ultra Thins. This is always like never before.
The Cuvée Group is a Florida-based marketing and training consulting firm. We help businesses communicate to their target audience and engage them in conversation. We also help to expand their audiences, which will ultimately result in growth for those organizations. In addition to being a certified constant contact specialist, my colleagues and I are also certified in John Maxwell Leadership Principles. We use these proven principles to conduct workshops, training, and private coaching sessions for individuals and companies looking to take things to the next level. Contact us to schedule a free consultation. Issues today, don't delay, call Cuvée.
As technology continues to bring changes to the world of education, it's time we also reimagine teacher professional development. Gone are the days of one-size-fits-all learning that can only be accessed at a specific time and place. The Stride PD Center is an on-demand library of mobile-friendly courses that allow educators to learn anytime and anywhere. Our dynamic courses provide bite-sized learning and help educators advance their knowledge while also gaining professional development hours. The best professional development plans are those that include a level of flexibility and choice for educators. Whether you're a teacher, school, or district, visit us today to take charge of your learning.
All right, welcome back to the ONG Strike Zone. Oh, hey, there he is. I thought we lost him for a second. There he is. Brian, Marcus, Kelvin, and it's good to be joined by the host of the Carlos Brown Show every Saturday morning, noon Eastern, 11 Central. Carlos Brown talking about all things related to Southern University athletics. Carlos, how you doing tonight?
Good evening, gentlemen. I'm fine, and hey, I feel like it's a road game. I'm in against all of the orange and green, the FAMU, but guess what? I love it. You guys do a great job, and I appreciate you having me on.
Hey, well, look, we love talking to you. You know, I glean so much information about Southern when whether I'm producing your show or watching your show. And you know, it feels like Southern goes through a lot of the stuff around athletics that FAMU goes through. And I don't know if that's just maybe the nature of the beast because of we are two elite universities and programs in different states or regions of the country.
Mhm.
Before we get into the football, what's the state of Southern athletics right now?
Well, we always use the term high expectations, and you know, every athletic program, every HBCU, they have the same goals, and it's a place. It's not for everybody. Okay, when I say that, high expectations is tough. The fan base, they're very energized, and right now it's kind of the trend is that they expect more. They want more. They want this athletic department to compete for the overall athletic championship, the Commissioner's Cup. And at one point, under the late great Floyd Kerr and others, um, they attained those goals. But as of late, it's been a struggle, and the fan base and the alums, um, they're really not per se happy at all. They expect more. So high expectations, and even with this football program and Coach Dooley, wow, whew, it's a big game this Saturday, and it's been a tough start because again, high expectations. Some will say maybe this could be a preview of the SWAC football championship. But for Southern, they started off 0-2, and now they're kind of trending upward. So big game Saturday, very big.
Boy, this sounds a lot like another university that I love. Hearing you talk about that, he could have just replaced one word with another word and a letter and a symbol and another letter, and I'd have been like, man, that sounds like us. But anyway, Kelvin, I'll let you get it started with Carlos. Kelvin's on a bit of a delay for some reason. I don't know if you're hearing us. Hello, Kelvin, you there? No, he for some reason something's going on.
You hear me?
Marcus, let me go. Oh, there you are. We got you now. I don't know.
Mhm.
That's a long delay. What do you got? Go ahead. Go ahead with your question there for Carlos.
Carlos, I'm just wondering, talk about your first two games and what's changed these last two games. What's working now for your football program?
Well, two things, in my humble opinion. We finally saw a rushing attack because prior to last Saturday's game, Southern University dead last. Now, I heard you guys talking about last year FAMU struggling to run the football. Southern dead last. Lo and behold, last Saturday, and over 200 yards rushing. In one game, they surpassed the previous three games. And then Harold Blood, a grad student, first time really starting this year. Now, he did make an appearance last year, if you remember, in Tallahassee. Kind of had ball security issues, kind of growing in the position. So he has improved. Now, last Saturday, his first pass was a INT, but then he ran off 18 of 20 in a row. So, and then the offensive line, they had some injuries, but they felt the wrath of the Jaguar Nation. They had underperformed. They seem to have now started trending in the right directions. But we'll see. UAPB is a whole different beast than FAMU defensively. When I was looking at the stats, 1-2. FAMU 1, Southern 2, a difference of 10 yards. Mm-hmm. So will there be any points scored this Saturday? I think they will, but it may be not a high-scoring game.
Marcus, what do you got?
Yes, actually, Kelvin asked probably the primary question I wanted to ask, but I wanted to also, the last time FAMU came there in 2021, I mean, it's always nip and tuck when we play Southern, but it seemed like the energy and the atmosphere may not have been what at least for me, may not have been what I would have expected. So, what are the expectations this Saturday? And I don't know. I know it's a little different. I think last time we came was in either late October or early November. So, I know there was a change. I think the weather was starting to turn a little cold at that time. But in terms of the environment, what should we expect? What should FAMU expect coming into Southern? Will it be what we normally would expect, or do you think it's going to be a little more subdued like it was in 2021?
No, I think it's going to be a little bit more energized. The last time, I think Coach Rollins was the interim head football coach. And then the week before, if I'm not mistaken, Jackson State came into A.W. Mumford Stadium. And they scored like 14 points in the last few minutes. Southern led that game, the whole game. Then right before halftime, some people will say Southern scored. The referee said no. And so they lost that game. Coach Sanders, I think, was his first time back after his medical issues. And it just kind of took the crowd down the next week. And then once again, I think Southern, correct me if I'm wrong, they were leading in the football game or they had a better start, but they just couldn't hold it. So this Saturday, I'm hearing a big buzz. A lot of people are asking me, will it be a hard sellout? I don't think so. Like Jackson State, that was a hard sellout. But I think it'll be a different atmosphere. It'll be electric. Now, hopefully Southern offensively, and Brian, in every game this year, although they're 2-2, they have scored first. They've started well, but they could not finish until last Saturday. So to answer your question, Marcus, I think it's going to be a different atmosphere. It's going to be more electricity this Saturday.
All right, thank you.
I find it interesting. I look at Southern's 2-2 record, and obviously, but Southern's played 4 SWAC schools. So I don't want to disregard the 2 wins that counted, or the 2 losses. So I mean, because you lost to 2 teams from the Eastern Division, and those are teams that FAMU has beaten both of them. Not that that really means anything when you're comparing, but just from the standpoint of, hey, those are the next 2 toughest teams in the East. What's your view on this early schedule and playing the non-SWAC schools? Would you have liked Southern to have scheduled other non-conference, non-SWAC schools, or do you understand, or do you like the benefit of what it created for this team?
Well, in a perfect world, you would have liked those games to have counted in the standings. But here's the thing. If you remember, Southern and Jackson State was supposed to play in Birmingham in a 2-year agreement put on by the conference, because Jackson State rolled off of Southern's schedule. But guess who is a permanent member, a permanent opponent from the East? It's FAMU. So they're going to always play. But Jackson State and Southern is so big, you got to put them on the schedule. So it wasn't in Birmingham. That fell through. So next year, Southern goes to Jackson. And you talking about a war when that happens. It's a literally a war in a good way, though. And so Alabama State took the early lead, was looking good, couldn't finish. Jackson State flat out beat Southern. So ideally, in a perfect world, 2 non-conference games from another conference, maybe, but it is what it is. And just to be honest, not trying to be arrogant, although we have been accused of being arrogant. We Southern alum.
No, Southern. No.
Oh, yeah, it's true. It's
No.
cocky and arrogant. Yeah.
No.
I am too. Look, but Brian, when teams roll off Southern schedule because historically they travel so well, Alabama State was like, we got to get them on the schedule. And come to Montgomery. Jackson will come the following year. So sometimes the success, goodness of a traveling team can also cut away from some home games. So I just kind of wish the schedule would have been where, you could have played maybe somebody from the SIAC or, CIAA or one of the other HBCU FCS teams. But, hey, you got to play the schedule that's put forward for you. And that's to the credit of the AD, Coach Roman Banks.
Do y'all wish, before Kelvin jumps in there, do you guys, and I say you guys, the Jaguar Nation wish that I guess what it's called, the rivalry that every year, do you wish that opponent was Jackson State instead of us? Is that what I'm hearing?
Ooh, boy, that's a tough one. I mean, I can answer personally. Jackson State, it's just so intense. Now, don't get me wrong, FAMU's intense as well. I can remember some of those shootouts in A.W. Mumford, 50-49, 50-48. Coach Billy Joe, wow, I still can hear him in my ear now. Boy, he was a tough guy. He poured on. That's a tough one. I'm going to have to take a poll. Jackson State and FAMU. See, Jackson State is kind of the mirror image of Southern fans and alum, but then also I can say that about FAMU. But FAMU is kind of like a quiet, sort of very confident. Jackson State is loud and confident of their fans. And Southern's probably the same way. So that's a tough one. Brian, I don't know if I can answer that.
Just something to think about, something to maybe, like you said, poll Jaguar Nation. I'm curious to see what they say on that one. Okay, go ahead, Kelvin, if you're up and good.
Carlos, tell me what you think of the West, man. What's going to happen in the West of the SWAC, man? I mean, look like everybody got a chance.
Yeah, and by the way, I always like you guys and others. The East is better, right? It's more. I don't know. From top to bottom, FAMU #1 team overall in the conference, no doubt about it. In my humble opinion, I would have put Jackson State. But to your question, in the West, last week I had Prairie View like in the driver's seat. They lost to Grambling State. I must give credit to Grambling. Offensively, they're scoring a lot of points. Looked at the latest statistics. I think they're #1. But defensively, they have some challenges. Southern, 2-0 in the conference, albeit they lost to Alabama State and Jackson State. They still have their goals ahead of them. It looks like it's going to come down to 3 teams: Prairie View, Southern, and Grambling State. And especially if you lose a interdivisional game. Now, I'm not saying that Southern don't worry about winning Saturday. Oh, yeah, they need to win to continue to play better. But those 3. Now, I didn't mention Alcorn. I happened to listen to Alcorn games last Saturday. Sometimes it's better to be lucky than good. Alabama State fumbled twice inside the 10-yard line. They were up by 3 going to put the nail in the coffin. The guy fumbles at the 5-yard line. Alcorn goes down, kicks a field goal, sends it to overtime. So Alcorn, I'm going to stick with Prairie View, Southern, and Grambling. I hope this doesn't come back and I have to eat my words with Alcorn, because Southern has to go to the reservation. Prairie View, and of course Grambling's in New Orleans, but Prairie View comes to Southern University.
Hey, when was the last time? How long has it been since Grambling and Southern have been on top of the West unbeaten?
It's kind of been a while. I know that like a few years ago, 4 or 5 years ago, they had another coach, and now his name escapes me, Coach Fobbs. It regularly came down to the Bayou Classic, who represents the West, and it very well could be that way this year. But you got to win the week. You can't look too far ahead. Prairie View comes to Southern University, Texas Southern. Southern has had a very friendly home schedule. If you look at it, FAMU, Jackson State, Alabama A&M, Prairie View's coming, Texas Southern. So the Jaguar Nation, they're ready for some good things, some good things to happen.
Marcus, go ahead.
Yes, and for the matchup this weekend, I know you've already played Jackson and Alabama State. Do you see, in analyzing those games, do you see any similarities with FAMU that would either bode well for Southern's chances or be a red flag for Southern?
Well, if I look at Alabama State's defense, they're pretty good. Pretty good. FAMU's defense pretty good. So they're similar that way. I think it's going to come down to, can Southern establish a running attack? Because against Jackson State, they had very little yards, and guess what? They had to throw the football 44 times. That's a recipe for disaster to me. Now, you're going up against a FAMU team that defensively is very strong. Offensively, they're not bad either. But Alabama State and FAMU defense are similar, but I give the edge to FAMU defensively. So that's a similarity. And for Southern, then that means they're going to have to try to be balanced. If they're not balanced and they're one-dimensional, I think it bodes well for FAMU. And I know FAMU is going to try to say, look, we believe in our defense offensively. We're going to shut your running game down, and we don't believe you can beat us throwing the football. Thus, Coach Dooley, you've got to call one of your better games because he's the offensive coordinator as well.
Boy. Oh, boy.
Yeah.
So you guys go through that same thing with fussing
a lot
about
of similarities.
Because a lot of similarities, boy. I tell you what, I mean, it's like holding a mirror. Like Coach Simmons and Coach Dooley should come to like 50-yard line when they meet and just hold a mirror up next to each other and say, hey, I see you, you see me. There's a lot of similarities here.
Right. Well, they're offensive gurus. Coach Dooley promised a track meet on the football field.
Oh.
So when you say those things like that, expectations are way up here, and then you're averaging 14 points prior to the UAPB game. Hey, I'm trying to defend Coach Dooley, but man, sometimes you can't defend that. And I kind of looked at social media. You're right. Some of the FAMU supporters and alums, they're not happy. I think they both sides seek perfection.
Yeah.
And it's hard to come by.
Yeah, and you talk, and Coach Simmons is living in the ghost of, or the shadows of, Billy Joe and averaging 40 a game, and it's like, most teams would love to be scoring in the 30s. Rattler Nation's like, nah, we should be in the 40s. I don't know, what is this 30? What is this 27 points a game we're averaging? This is hogwash. We're not doing well enough.
I think Southern fans would take 27 or 28 points compared to what they're doing now. But, again, both are offensive gurus.
Oh.
And, man, the history of this game, I could just go on and on. I kind of mentioned a 50-49 game, a 50-48.
So what's the favorite moment? Give what's the and I told Kelvin and Marcus to think about this as well. Give me like the one moment, FAMU Southern. We're gonna go around the horn on this one, guys. So be ready, Marcus and Kelvin. I'm gonna start with you, Carlos. What's your favorite FAMU Southern moment, or the one that just is memorable, that just always pops up in your head during this Southern FAMU week?
Well, it wasn't a good feeling at the end, but I can remember playing in Atlanta and Southern University. What is this guy named? Holmes, a linebacker for FAMU.
Oh, yeah.
He was a monster.
Earl Holmes.
Yeah, so Southern came out and won that game. Eric Randall was the quarterback. Both teams came in with great records. That was outstanding. But the one that sticks out the most, and I got a chance to meet. And by the way, isn't it Founders Day for FAMU today?
Yesterday.
Yesterday. Okay.
Yesterday.
Happy Founders. Dr. Humphreys. Southern was number 2 in FCS, undefeated. Came into Tallahassee, and before Coach Pete Richardson said somebody's going to get embarrassed. I remember that.
Oh, Internet Pete.
Wow.
Internet
And you know, I'm probably not telling the whole story. I don't know if somebody showed something, but I heard FAMU had that posted all in their locker room. You tell me.
Yeah.
I want to say the final score was it 58-19, something like that. But nightmares of Jackie Nunley, Lamb, a big time quarterback, and we left. And I was a member of the radio crew at that time, and we were going back to the van, and a FAMU fan said, "Hey, you dropped something," and I got to keep it clean. And I'm looking down. What did I drop? He basically said, "You're behind." So we tore it up. You got me. Boy, we got out of that. We were supposed to drive to Pensacola and spend the night. We went all the way back to Baton Rouge from Tallahassee, and that was a long, long ride. So that stick out. And then I could even remember another time Southern was undefeated. Maybe at one. It was FAMU's homecoming.
Oh.
And Dr. Humphreys.
97.
That was my first time seeing him give that speech and that stick and put it in the ground. My God, the place went nuts. Final score 33-3. FAMU.
Yeah.
So my 2 times to Tallahassee have not been fun, but a great rivalry. It goes back and forth.
Kelvin, what about you? What's the memory? Carlos may hit him, but what's the memory?
Curtis Pulley. 98, I believe. 97, somewhere around there. The Curtis Pulley's game, that one of those 40, one of those 50 to 48 game, I believe it was that one. They called back a lot of, they called back touchdowns at least 2 or 3 times. And we had about 20 penalties for about 223 yards, somewhere around there. And at the end of the game, I think we kicked the game-winning field goal to win it. At the end of the game, the ref sprinted to 2 SUVs parked on the side of the field. And it was one call short.
Was that in Baton Rouge or Tallahassee?
I think that was Baton Rouge.
The one I'm talking about was in Baton Rouge.
Yeah.
Yeah,
because he started 2 years.
Marcus, how about you?
I think those 2 games, the 50-47, which I think was in Tallahassee, and then that 50-48 nip and tuck, and that was at the pinnacle of the BJ Gulf Coast era. But the 2 that come to mind, in addition to those for me, one was, I think, in 2001, where we were supposed to play Southern. I think it got pushed back. I can't remember if it was automatically scheduled or if it was pushed back because of 9/11. But I think we were ranked. And it was in Tallahassee. I think the final score was 17-14, and it was an upset. And I think we even went to the playoffs that year. But it was like, I think we were ranked and Southern was, I want to say like 5-5 or something like that. It wasn't like a typical Southern team. And the upset loss, and I wasn't at the game, but I was listening to it, and apparently we turned the sprinklers on.
You talking about the year we turned the sprinklers
on? Yeah. Coach Grave is going to remember that. He's back at Southern now, and he wasn't a happy camper.
The other one I remember, because I was up in North like I am now, was I think it might have been 2008. It might have been a Curtis Pulley game. And I was listening to it. I think I was watching. It may have been on like streaming something. And I remember we were losing. I was like, oh. And then I think Southern was going to go in for the nail in the coffin and fumbled like within the 5. And I can't remember who recovered it. But then we marched down and scored the winning score. And I was like, oh. It seemed like we were getting worked that whole game. But it was close enough that turnover inside the 5 turned the tables, and we marched down and won the game. And that was at Baton Rouge too.
Yeah, I've seen a couple of losses in Baton Rouge. Always a high scoring affair. My goodness.
I still go back to, I think you brought it up, the 33-3 homecoming game. I recall I didn't go to that game. I was working. I used to work at a hotel up on North Tallahassee, right by the interstate. And I had the radio on, of course. I'm listening to Keith Miles, and I'm listening to it on the radio. You know, be nice if you could do that these days. But anyway, I'm listening to the broadcast, and all I know is we marched down the field and scored. And then on the ensuing kickoff was the shot heard around the world. And I think I could hear the crowd from where I was, but just hearing it through the radio, and I heard many people talk about that hit on the return kickoff, and it was just a boom, and everybody like, whoa, and just that excitement from that hit, and we recovered, and we were at that point. I think we jumped on y'all 21-0 right there in the first quarter, but 14 quick points, and it was just, I think that was a homecoming game. That was where they had 30. They brought in the extra bleachers, so you had like 30-something thousand. Back then Bragg could only seat 25, but they brought in the extra bleachers in the what's now the north end zone, where people eat wine and cheese and drink to their merry. So that's that's those memorable moments, man. Memorable moments. All right, Carlos. So let's end it. Let me ask the obvious question here. If Southern is going to win, what is Southern going to have to do against FAMU to be successful on Saturday?
Well, I kind of knew that question was going to be asked, so I kind of pulled up some notes, but I'm going to start on offense. For Southern to be, you're saying to Southern be successful, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay. One, they must establish some produce some running yardage. And if it's not successful early on, you still got to be honest and stick with it. A one-dimensional Southern football team is not going to defeat a strong FAMU defensive team. They're going to have to offensively. Also, they're going to have to get off to a fast start. But now, I just told you earlier, they've scored in every game first, but they got to sustain it. It's going to be interesting to see if Coach Dooley, what kind of game plan he's going to call offensively, because he's the offensive coordinator. Also, I think offensively, they're going to have to mix it up. They're going to have to be successful on first down and stay ahead of the chains. You don't want to be in a lot of third and longs against a great defense. Now, defensively, Southern, that's their strong point. We talked earlier, they're right behind FAMU. You almost could say 1A defensively. The front line, they're going to have to get pressure, and I think they're going to have to make Musa very uncomfortable. What quarterback likes to just get hit all of the time?
Mm-hmm.
And then they're going to have to force turnovers. Another interesting fact, last year Southern was in the top 5. I mean, really in the top 5 in turnover margins, forcing turnovers. This year, they only had 1 until last Saturday. They forced 4. They're going to have to do that this Saturday. And to get the crowd energized and early. If they go behind or fall behind quickly, in light of what has happened, I wonder if the Jaguar Nation will go silent in that game. But defensively, force turnovers, stay ahead of the chains. Offensively, got to establish a running game, got to be balanced. And then Coach Dooley has to call one of his better games as offensive coordinator since he's been at Southern University. This is a big game. And if you look at it against the top competition in the conference, he's kind of 500. Kind of 500. Mm-hmm. So that's my quick takes. And by the way, did you see Joshua Griffin on social media kicked a 65-yard field goal? That was in practice, but a strong leg. Hell, I'll take a 3-point victory on a field goal, 50 yards. I'm desperate now. I want this game. I want this game and to keep Southern in contention for the Western Division. Sorry, Kelvin. It may be against FAMU to keep the undefeated streak in the conference, minus Alabama State and Jackson State.
How much wind was behind that kick? Was it like a 10, 15 mile an hour wind behind that kick? Any idea?
From what I heard, it was it hasn't really been windy here at all. It's still hot. But again, that's no pressure, no opposing team trying to block it.
Yeah, I mean, hey, look, 65 is still impressive because
we're talking practice.
Yeah, practice. Talking practice.
Yeah, but
not the
check
game.
Check
not
it out on
game.
social media. It's impressive to me. A very strong leg. But again, it counts when you do it. If you have to, you do it during the game when it's much more pressure.
Right. All right. Well, Carlos, we always appreciate you coming on and talking. There's so many similarities between FAMU and Southern. It's good to kind of. I like rooting for Southern from a distance every week, but this week, so we'll wish y'all good health. I can't do anything about luck, but we just wish y'all good health so that when the rest of the season goes on, that you guys can continue on, and then when you beat Grambling and the Bayou, and who knows, when you come to Tallahassee again in December, at least
run the table afterwards.
Run the table afterwards. Then come to Tallahassee in December.
Yeah, we'll look forward to seeing you in December. How about that?
Well, hey, been on the road. If that's the case, it'll be the third time on the road for a championship.
Yeah,
twice to Alcorn. Me and my best friend, I think he's watching. Man, as soon as that game was over, we were out of there. We were headed back to Baton Rouge. You're talking about not in a good mood, fireworks going off, everything, the celebration. But hey, Alcorn earned it. And hey, a little help when Prairie View comes to Tallahassee. Help us out. See, I'll pull for FAMU, but Jackson State, I could never.
Hey,
except for SWAC and MEAC Challenge or the Celebration Bowl.
Prairie View is coming to Tallahassee for homecoming. They have no idea what's about to get hit. The distraction committee gonna be out in full force. They will have no shot in heaven at walking out of there feeling good about themselves. So, it's all right. It's all right. We got you covered. We got you covered.
I'll be doing this on that time. Maybe one of the few times, but hey, it's all love at the end of the day.
Yes,
HBCU forever.
Yes, indeed. Carlos Brown, ladies and gentlemen. Carlos, every Saturday right here on the Black College Sports Network at noon Eastern, 11 Central. Carlos talks about Southern and HBCUs and the SWAC. Co-host Charles Edmond of the Alcorn State Sports Radio Network.
Oh, that champ. You know what? I'm gonna cut his camera off next week.
I don't know how I got to check on Charles. Charles didn't harass me. Look, Alcorn, he didn't harass me about the Rams beating up on my Colts. I got to check on Charles, make sure he's all right. I normally get nasty texts from him after the Rams beat the Colts. So, I gotta make sure he's all right.
Well, Brian, he can't say too much because my team is the Saints. And
sorry for you too.
It wasn't a good weekend last weekend, but hey.
I got you. All right. Hey, make sure to follow Carlos at the Carlos Brown Show. And then again Saturday at noon. And we look forward to a great game. And hopefully the guys from the East come out victorious. So that's what we're rooting for. All right. Thank you, Carlos.
Thank you, gentlemen. Continue to do a great job. I appreciate the invite.
Thanks, Carlos.
Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Appreciate you.
All right.
We're going to take a short break, come back right after these words. You're watching the O&G Strike Zone right here on the Black College Sports Network.
Since 2002, Empowerment Resources, Inc., a nonprofit organization, has empowered more than 1,500 youth and adults in Duval and surrounding counties. Through its programs, Journey into Womanhood, Girls Mentoring, Life Skills for Teens, and Parenting Education Coaching. To get involved with programs, volunteer, or donate, visit www.empowermentresourcesinc.org. Follow us on social media, facebook.com/empowerment.resources and instagram.com/empowermentJAX.
The human voice has always connected audiences with experiences. Major brands all across America have trusted Kever's voice time and time again. Conversational, powerhouse, intelligent, and sincere. That's the voice you need for your creative marketing process. KEAVERSVOICE.com. Kever's Voice, Kever's Voice, KeversVoice.com. Always on, all the time.
Nope. Nope.
Come on, him?
Ooh, I like him.
Quick, the quicker picker-upper. Bounty picks up messes quicker, and each sheet is 2 times more absorbent, so you can use less.
He's an 8.
He's a 9.
Bounty, the quicker picker-upper.
From novice to aficionado, find yourself here. High quality cigars plus personal customer service. Slow Burn is Waco's only mobile cigar lounge, featuring a meticulous, curated collection of premium cigars. Visit our website, www.slowburnwaco.com. That's www.slowburnwaco.com.
All right, welcome back to the O&G Strike Zone. Brian, Marcus, Kelvin, back here. We're going to get into a little Rattler Roundup and get you ready for FAMU Southern. Got an interesting tale of the tape to go over with you. I'm curious, Marcus, how did you feel when you saw Coach Simmons tweet on the bus from early Sunday morning? Breaking news that, hey, his quarterback is him, and we're gonna ride with Jeremy Musa. What's your thoughts on Coach taking time out to send that tweet out Sunday morning?
I was surprised he responded. I know the last couple of weeks he's had some playful banter on social media, but I was kind of surprised he responded. I figured he's like, just fans being fans. But he's standing up for his quarterback, and he's not going to come out and say, yeah, we're going to bench him, so that wouldn't really fly with the team. He knows that Jeremy could be playing a little better. There's some things that were missed. Could be on him, could be on the receivers running the routes, could be a lot of different factors. But, and we've talked about it in past games. Jeremy, I think he's leading the SWAC in passing. But even if there's an uptick, and like even 5% of his, if he had a 5% better completion rate in all the games that he's played. Now, I think West Florida and maybe one other, he was in the 60s. There was like a 2-game stretch where he was in the 60s. But if you look at Jackson State, and if you look at this past game, if he was in the 60 to 65% range, he'd probably have close to 1,700 yards by now, maybe close to 2,000, or if he hit on a couple more passes. But, that's in the past, and we're still winning. But I was really surprised that coach responded, just because I figured that he would, that's par for the course, and fans get a little rough. And I know I said a little something. I didn't call out Jeremy, but I was like, "You got to be well." I could have said, "You got to be effing kidding me." And I did said the clean version. I didn't spell it out. But I said when Nat was on that interception at the end of the first half, we were basically in the red zone, and we threw a 100-yard interception, which, if not for a referee's penalty, and I didn't necessarily see I was looking at the runner and hoping somebody would tackle him. I wasn't looking for, the infraction. But if not for that, we'd have been down 14-10 at the half in a game that we could have and should have been blowing them out.
Tell the truth. You thought Coach Simmons was above the noise. You thought he wasn't on social media.
Well, I know he's on social media, but I didn't know. I didn't think he was going to respond, because he probably just brushed it off like, that's just fans being fans.
Kelvin, your thoughts?
I have no problem with a coach defending his player. I have no problem with Rattler Nation being Rattler Nation, and neither does Coach. I think Coach kind of gave a little vision, peeled back the onion, so to speak, when he at the 220 Club, when he talked about being on that long bus ride, getting back about 8 in the morning, and getting all I'm sure he was on social media. He was seeing all this chatter, and one chatter in particular was pretty pointed. And it was, someone that probably is known to us very well. I know he's known to me very well. So, after that long trip and almost getting home and so forth, he probably got a little more caught up than he wanted to. But I have no problem with either one of them. With one exception, Brian, I think you put more pressure on your quarterback because he has a bully pulpit, so to speak. So when he says things, people pay attention. And I think even though his intent was one thing, what it really has done for this game is put more focus on that position and the execution. So hopefully his play calling along with the execution will be on point. I do understand, and I want to point out because, it was mentioned by Coach on one of his press conferences. I did notice that, we had offensive linemen playing out of position. We had guards playing tackle. We had starting tackle out, and then one or two guys got banged up in the game. So I understand. I get all that. But just to be frank, you got to make the plays that are there. None of that had anything to do with his decision making and his execution at the end of the day. That has to be better. But Coach put a lot more pressure on him, in my opinion, by speaking about it.
I think the pressure's honestly, I think the pressure's on Coach. I mean, because I think we all see the coach as the primary play caller. The coach and the quarterback are in sync here. So I think, and he mentioned that he watches the film immediately after the game. So like you said, if he's got to be on that bus for 8-9 hours, and if he's watching that film, between probably watching one time, watching the decision making, but also second time going through it, maybe looking at his play calling and say there's probably a lot of frustration. Maybe even some, why did I call this? Why did I do that? I shouldn't have done this. And so here's the one thing I will say. When Coach Simmons has had a half or a game where we might look at the play calling and say the play calling could have been a whole lot better, it usually is the next game. So that's the one thing that kind of I think is encouraging coming into this Southern game, is that I think the play calling will be dramatically better in this. And I think you will see Musa spreading it around more. I don't think you'll see him looking deep as much. where I think he'll look more underneath and more in the intermediate level. And so I just think, that's kind of where that's going to go. But I will say this, though. I looked at some stats, and I forwarded this to you guys from Luke Williams, Black College Sports page, put together stats among all HBCU quarterbacks, Division I and Division II, right? Jeremy Musa right now is sitting at number 4 in yards per game, 248.8 with 1,244 total yards, 10 touchdowns against 4 INTs, completion percentage of 58.2. Now, again, that sits 4th behind 3 Division II quarterbacks. So amongst Division I, and then I'll take it even a step further. Among the top 4, 5, 6, 7, amongst the top 7 quarterbacks in all of Black college football, Musa sits there at number 4. Now, guess who sits there at number 8? Harold Blood of Southern. So, I don't know how we talked about the numbers are what the numbers are. He still is producing, and I think that's part of the message, is saying, I know a lot of people expect and want better. I think that's on him as the coach, and I think that's why he's standing up for his quarterback. Okay, Marcus, you got an event coming up here in Atlanta, Georgia. I want to give you an opportunity to talk about what is the HBCU week, the college fair happening in Atlanta.
Yes. So I had the opportunity and pleasure to attend this in Wilmington, Delaware. What was it, last Friday? 2 Fridays ago, September 22nd. And it originally started here in Wilmington. And I guess it's been going on for 6 or 7 years. I remember when it first started. I didn't attend then, but my company, and now is a sponsor, the company that employs me. It's not self-employed, but we had a good time. The estimates were about 8,000 to 10,000 high school students came through from the tri-state area. We had our own little area where we showed some of our company's wares and displays and had a lot of folks out there. And there's an opportunity at the college fair where they had FAMU was up there. And in fact, I can look up the young lady's name because I got her name. She gave me a flag and I meant to bring it down. She's going to be in Atlanta as well. And so FAMU was there. There were about 30 colleges, HBCUs there, in addition to an organization called FASI. And I would look it up, but I know it's their mission is to help to foster more students, more African American and brown students in the STEM field, the Future of STEM Scholars Initiative. So they actually branched out the last couple of years. HBCU week has primarily been in Wilmington, Delaware, but last year they were in Orlando about 2 weeks after the event last year. And this year they're going to be in Atlanta. So they're going to be at the Cobb Galleria Center. And it is from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. on Friday, October 6th. So roughly 2 weeks from the event held here in Wilmington. I don't think my company is going to have a presence in the Atlanta fair, but we have a major presence at the one in Wilmington, Delaware. But if you have any high schoolers who are interested in STEM or actually interested in HBCUs, it's a college fair. But I know our particular focus was on STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math. So make them aware if they're not already, and hopefully they can get out and about, whether in the Atlanta area, the Southeast region. And actually, as a tidbit, I meant to give a shout out. I met Mike Washington from inside the HBCU lab. His company, he was coming doing some scouting. And I was walking around. I was like, I know your face. And he was like, huh? And I was like, yeah, you're on the show with Dr. Cavill. And he was like, yeah. So got a chance to see a colleague from the BCSN network and a fellow HBCU a podcaster. So you never knew who you're going to meet, what connections you're going to make, or faces you'll recognize. But more importantly, you have an opportunity to have some high school kids in the Atlanta area or the Southeast region to come to HBCU week and have a comprehensive college fair where you'll have different colleges, including FAMU, and the young lady's name, Chloe Rajinas. I hope I'm pronouncing it right, but she works for FAMU Admissions. She just graduated last year, so she's new in admissions, but she's traveling all around representing FAMU. So tell Chloe you said hi if you happen to venture there. Bring any teenagers you have who are juniors or seniors, or any friends down the street. Make them aware and make it a solid event.
There you go. Good shot. Good shot. All right. Appreciate
Good
that.
job.
Good lookout, Marcus. Let's keep going here with the Rattler Roundup. Let's get into talking about final scores there as we wrap up week 5 there. Before we transition out of that, I thought I had moved that graphic, but anyway, any scores there that surprised you, fellas? The scores, obviously, other than ours. Any scores that surprised you?
The two that jump out at me.
Grambling?
Oh, go ahead, Kelvin.
Yeah, Grambling Prairie View, and I happen to watch that game later on. I like Grambling running game. They have some very nice backs.
For me, it was Tuskegee getting blown out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that shocked the heck out of me too.
Yes.
Yeah.
And actually, I was a little surprised at the Alabama State score. I thought Alabama State's defense was gonna pull them through, and I thought they were gonna pull it out.
Well, that's the second week in a row Alcorn has dealt with a game that went down to a field goal at the end, because they lost the game the week before on a field goal, and then as Carlos was talking about how Alcorn benefited from a mistake by Alabama State, a fumble or something, and that's how they got back into that game. So, yeah, and the streak did end. The Grambling 5-year losing streak to Prairie View A&M ended, and this Grambling, man, keep an eye out, keep your eyes open. Coach Hugh had found something between the running game and the passing game. Watch out for Grambling these next 5 weeks, these next 5 games. That's all I'm gonna say.
And ironically, I think their starting QB is a transfer from Alabama State.
Yes, Crawley, Miles Crawley. Yeah. Yep. So
I don't know if he can get it. If he got any PT at Alabama State, so he went over to Grambling. He's got them balling.
He was in the mix. He never won the job solely. I mean, the kid who is there now, it was 3 of them. It was Crawley,
Davis,
and the 2 guys who are there now. Yeah, the 2 who are there now, and so it is what it is. You go where you can find a spot to play, I guess. That's how it works, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We'll come back to that in a second. Let's give a shout out to our FAMU volleyball team. Over the weekend, they took a pair from the schools in Mississippi at home. They defeated Valley 3-0 on Saturday. And then
Mississippi.
Then they defeated Jackson State 3-1 on Sunday, a day in which there were a couple of different records. Of course, you can see there 1,000 career assists for Camila De La Rosa, 1,000 kills for Brooklyn Watts, and Watts is only in her 3rd year of collegiate volleyball, and she's already got 1,000 career kills. And then also Brooke Hudson, who's the reigning libero of the year. She moved into the top 10 all time in women's volleyball Rattler history with career digs at 859. So she will probably, I would imagine by the end of the SWAC season, she might hit 1,000, because and she'll probably win libero of the year again. I can't see that not happening. The ladies did end up losing, though, on Founders Day yesterday to North Florida in 3-1. That was the non-conference. I think that was the final non-conference game of the season. So currently, their record sits at 7-10. This graphic you see was posted before the game against North Florida yesterday. So the team is 7-10 right now, 3-1 in conference. You see where that puts us. It puts us, in fourth place technically, but like I said, that's because you got some schools that haven't played any real competition yet. I mean, Prairie View's unbeaten, Southern unbeaten, Alabama State. I mean, look, Alabama State just started winning. I'm interested to see the Prairie View matchup. Prairie View, you can see, is 8-9 coming in right now, and that's what we have this weekend. So, FAMU volleyball is out in Houston. So for you Houston, Texas Rattlers, you got an opportunity to go check out the Lady Rattlers as they'll be taking on Southern and Texas Southern on Sunday, and then on Monday against Prairie View. So actually, that's the top two teams in the volleyball standings. That's who we play this week. So, props to FAMU volleyball. And then one other note, just announced earlier today, Camila De La Rosa was recognized as the SWAC Setter of the Week. Anything you guys want to add there on the volleyball note before we move off of volleyball?
Quick curious. I was looking at the stats last night for the game, and I don't know if we were taking it as a tune-up. I was expecting us to win. I was kind of surprised how North Florida kind of put it to us. I mean, 3-1. I mean, there was one game that we won the first set, I think 26-24, and then lost the second one. Just lost the last three. And I think the middle two weren't really competitive. We didn't seem like we were. So the scores were a little lopsided. And then the third one, I think it was close, like 25-23 or something like that. But I was a little surprised at that. But, just getting ready for the tournament, and not for the tournament, for the rest of the SWAC season, and hopefully pulling things together.
Any word on how the attendance was? Kelvin, did you hear anything regarding the attendance from this past weekend?
Right, no. Okay. I didn't get a chance to see.
Okay. Well, okay. Moving off of volleyball, of course, I mentioned earlier this week, yesterday and today, basketball media days happened. Of course, just the previous week, the basketball season started with practices, and we finally know the women's basketball schedule. We finally know the non-conference schedule. We finally know the conference schedule. We can kind of guess the conference schedule because the men's was already published. But what I find interesting there, you can see the dates I have circled. First off, the first game of the season for Coach Gordon is a trip home. Can you imagine the emotions of your first game as a collegiate head coach? You going back home to where you are an All-American. You are one of the top 10 greatest players to ever play at that university in Knoxville, Tennessee, and you're walking in with your team. I mean, the emotions that Coach Gordon is going to be with, and I expect the team to really be playing their tail off in that one for her. So that'll be an emotional game. If any Rattlers are in the Tennessee, Knoxville area, I don't know. How far is Knoxville from Atlanta, Marcus?
I don't know. I've never been directly to. I know Chattanooga is like 2.5 hours, but I don't know how far.
Oh, okay.
That is from Chattanooga.
I thought Knoxville was not far from Chattanooga. I guess maybe that's why I asked that. But wherever Rattlers are in Tennessee or
what? Probably about 2.5, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah. If so, I would hope Rattler Nation can get out there.
That sounds about right. About 2.5.
Yeah. So then you see the home schedule there. Three pretty impressive home games. Of course, we talked about this last week on last week's show. The fact that the first home game is that Pac-12 doubleheader for the ladies. They will take on the University of Cal or Cal University, excuse me. And then they also have a home game later in the week against Jacksonville University. And then after traveling out to Texas, they come back again with the game against South Alabama on December 8th. And then they'll go out to Detroit and Michigan for a pair of games. And then back to Jacksonville to end the year. So technically you've got 5 opportunities to see the Lady Rattlers in action. And what I like about this is they're not playing any D2 teams on this non-conference. You don't see no D2s, no NAIAs, just good quality, solid opponents from out of Division I. And that's good. So congrats to Coach Gordon or whoever is in charge of scheduling. Somebody said, Joe King said it's 3 hours from Atlanta to Knoxville. So I don't know. Is that close enough to take a day trip or a night trip? I don't know. Anyway, just thought I'd put that out there. Okay, Media Day was a few photos. Those of you who are watching, of course, hopefully you got a chance on Tuesday, Founders Day. Tiffany Green, of course, is there with the Lady Rattlers. That is a Coach Gordon, and then Ariana Grizzle and Skylar Baltazar. I think I said her name right. Did I say her name right? Sky, as we call her. We'll call her Sky.
I think it's Baltziger. At least that's how I heard Tiffany pronounce it.
Okay. We just Sky. We just say Sky B. And she actually follows us on Twitter. What up, Sky?
Oh.
We got to get Sky on the show. We got to get Sky on the show. Follows. But I did talk to Coach, and Coach was I did have a chance to talk to Coach during the media session. And she did mention, of course, that Sky is coming off of an MCL injury. She's going to ask Ariana to be more of a scorer this year and less of a facilitator, which is good because we know Ariana can score. I mean, that's Ariana on the left, Sky on the right, though, for those of you who are watching the podcast. But if you're listening, Sky is a returner. The 3 main returners, Yvette Subaretz from Spain. Yvette is also a returner. So we've got 3, especially if Sky is able to stay healthy and the knee is right. 3 good, solid returners. Yvette has a sister. Marcus, you talked about her. We got 8 new players.
Mm-hmm.
And we kind of knew that from the previous coach, that there was going to be 8 players. Olivia Delancey is the first recruit by Coach Gordon. So that young lady is one of the new names. And I'll tell you a name that I'm going to tell you guys to pay attention to. And she's a freshman. It's the young lady from out of Michigan.
Mm-hmm. Sydney Hendricks.
And apparently she's got a sister in Michigan that's still playing high school ball. So I'd be willing to bet that on that recruiting trip, or that trip when we go up to Detroit and Ann Arbor, we'll be trying to pull her into Tallahassee as well. But I'm excited to see her. This team has more size, and I think they are a little more athletic with the size. If you know what I'm getting at. I think this is a little more athletic team with some size, some big guards too. So I like Coach Gordon's energy. We're still working to try to get Coach Gordon on the show. We're working on our basketball preview show where we're gonna get a chance to really sit down and talk shop with Coach McCullum as well as Coach Gordon. And so we've been working on expanding our coverage of women's basketball in the first season of Coach Gordon. Marcus, right?
Yes, we are, and hopefully we can introduce those aspects within the next coming weeks. We'll keep it under wraps for now, but
if you
I'm
follow
excited
on Twitter,
about it.
you know. If you follow us on Twitter, you already know. But if not, you need to go follow us on Twitter at ONG StrikeZone.
Mhm.
But yeah, we a former one of our former alums, former women's or lady rattlers, is gonna come on as a correspondent for the ONG to help us really go in depth in this first season for Coach Gordon. So we're gonna really try to do it up during the basketball season here, and some weekly
and get a lady's perspective. It's good to
exactly.
have a lady's perspective on things.
Exactly.
And a former player.
And a former player. Exactly. Coming out of the SWAC media days, Ariana was selected to the second team, preseason all SWAC second team. So props to her. I think she averaged about 10 a game last year. And I think if she's more of a scorer, I think Dylan Horton, of course, was averaging like 15, 16, and she finished the season as second team all SWAC. And so I think it's Grizzle's time. Grizzle's time to cook. There you go. How about that?
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
Now, from some of those pictures from the first practice, I was trying to look at jersey numbers, and even though practice jerseys don't necessarily match up to what's on the online roster, I did not see Nashani Gilbert, who was one of our recruits that Coach Pillow signed before she departed. But it looked like I saw a couple of the other folks, like Haley Brennan.
Gilbert's still on the roster online though.
Yes, I just didn't see a picture of her, and it's not a matter of could be they just didn't take a picture of her. I was trying to match up numbers on the roster with numbers in the preseason or the first practice. But it looks like a lot of folks did show up in terms of the players that are on the roster. There was somebody number 3 that's not necessarily one on the roster that wasn't somebody I recognized. So I'm kind of curious if they had some other late signees that we're not aware of just yet.
Okay.
And I'm looking at the roster now, so it hasn't been updated, but the face for number 3 did look familiar, and it definitely wasn't Ana Subaretz.
Yvette or the sister?
No, not unless they've been getting the tan on the beach.
Hey, it's possible. Anything's possible. Predicted order of finish for the women. Of course, Jackson State is the standard in women's basketball. Got 11 first place votes, preseason number 1. Interesting to see Southern and Arkansas Pine Bluff both get some votes there. Grambling State has a new coach, but you can see they picked up 2 first place votes, and then FAMU at 10. So it's a good opportunity. I think the SWAC still does top 8 advance to the playoffs. So, good opportunity to see can FAMU be a top 8 team this year. Can I go out on a limb early, or should I wait?
Sure.
Yeah, I think we can be a top 8 team this year. Yeah, hell, I think what I'm hearing from Coach Gordon, and health is going to play a big factor in it. But hell, why not us?
I'll wait. I like this. I like to see things first.
You always like to wait. Yeah,
I gotta see it.
She definitely got some. I guess
I like what I see on paper, but I gotta see it.
I guess a recurring theme between both teams for FAMU is that size seems to be a priority. Because some of the late folks that came in that Coach Gordon got, I mean, even the couple that players that Coach Pillow signed and that stayed on, but some of the late signees like Olivia Delancey, the young lady from Middle Tennessee State, and we got a late transfer from UNC Wilmington that's listed on the roster. they all go like 6'1", 6'2". So I think some of our size deficit we've seen the last couple of years will, at least on paper, doesn't seem like it's going to be an issue just based on the sheer numbers. We have to see how they play. But, I think Skylar was holding it down for anybody over 6 feet last year, maybe one other player, but I think she was it. But now we have at least 4 or 5 players who are 6 feet or above.
Yeah. Yeah, so we're looking forward to that upcoming season. The men had their preseason media day today, Coach McCollum and the guys, and this is the men's preseason poll. Of course, Texas Southern is the standard in the SWAC, this time preseason number 1. But you can see quite a few teams got first place votes. Grambling got 4, Alcorn got a pair, Jackson State, Mo Williams got 3, Southern and Prairie View. I mean, 8 schools, if you count Arkansas Pine Bluff, got a first place vote. FAMU predicted order of 11. It is what it is. I think Coach McCullum is dealing with about 8 new players as well, if I'm not mistaken, right, Marcus?
Yeah, somewhere around there. So it's a lot of turnover.
Yeah. So we'll talk more about the men's basketball preseason here in the upcoming weeks. Their first season, they kick off in November.
I think both games are November 7th. The ladies
both
and
games
the
are
men.
November. Yeah. Yeah. Ooh, Olivia, really? Hope not. I hope not. Jesus. I'll take that. I'm playing the over. I'm playing the over. I'm playing FAMU. I'm playing both FAMU teams in the SWAC tournament top 8. Now,
Too soon.
Too soon. Y'all, no. Okay. Hey, look. Y'all meet me. Y'all put it out there. Soda bet. I like my Diet Dr. Pepper and Diet Mountain Dew. Y'all can just bring them to the next live event. That's all we got to do. Or just buy me a case on Amazon. There we go. I said it. Want to give another award here. We don't want to give an award, but want to recognize Coach Jamie Shoup, who was recognized earlier this week by the Florida Diamond Club as their College Coach of the Year. 2023 Florida Diamond Club College Coach of the Year, best college coach in quite a few colleges, quite a few baseball colleges here in the state of Florida. Well-deserved, Coach Shoup, and really looking forward. I know they're doing some fall ball stuff right now. That is a team with so many returners. Man, it's going to be exciting to see what this team does from the jump. I mean, they really have a great opportunity, maybe more so than any of the previous years, to really kind of be better than, because like the last time we won the MEAC, you had COVID that happened, and then you're sort of restarting in a new conference, and we finished 3rd. And then this year, you got a lot of new players from out of the transfer portal, and then guess what? You win the title. But you're going into 2024 with a lot of a lot of returning players. So all of the big bats are coming back. It's going to be real exciting baseball season. Real exciting. Yeah, Kenya brings up a good note here. They had a baseball showcase recently. Great turnout. I think I saw about 80 prospects, 80 players came out to that. FAMU baseball, pay attention. Let's get that field taken care of, please. Let's get the facilities up to snuff. That's all. Okay. Let's do before we talk about other games real quick. I thought I'd go through this with you guys and get your take on this. Let's take a look at this upcoming game. Let's really kind of look in the numbers for a few. I know we're running late, but let's just take a few minutes and kind of really break down what's in store for this weekend. Again, the top two defenses in the SWAC. Okay. Now, FAMU has played 5 games, Southern 4 games, but Southern has played all SWAC opponents, 3 SWAC East opponents. Okay. And so we now make their 4th. Actually, Southern will probably go through the entire East, if I'm not mistaken, by the time it's all said and done, maybe with the exception of one team. But anyway, tail of the tape, looking at the numbers here, scoring offense, scoring defense. You can see Southern just giving up 12 points a game, FAMU 15. Scoring offense is where the biggest, margin is. We're averaging 27.4 a game, Southern 17.8. Look at the total defense in terms of average yards per game. FAMU is first, and Carlos talked about this. There's only about a 10-yard difference between us in first and Southern in second. Offense is a little more disparity there, as we're averaging about 375 a game, Southern at about 346 a game. Rushing the ball, it's kind of rush defense, rush defense. Pretty interesting here, right? Carlos was talking about how poor Southern has run the ball. Well, they're going up against the #1 rush defense this week. And we all know our own troubles rushing the ball. We're going up against the #3 rush defense. Neither team rushes the ball very well. If you look at what I highlighted there in red, I mean, we're sitting at 9th. Southern's sitting at 10th. So it kind of makes sense that the next line, when you look at our passing offense, we have the top passing offense. Southern has the second best passing offense. Southern does boast the best pass defense with 174.3 yards allowed. And we have the 3rd best pass defense. When you look at the numbers, Marcus, what stands out for you?
Southern's defense stands out. That really pops off. I mean, we're kind of biased, so we know what our defense is like. I'm surprised that they're scoring. And if I'm looking at the second line of scoring offense, and I guess the caveat, and I was thinking it as you're running the numbers, and Steve Campbell brought it up. If we look at our scoring offense, that includes a group of 5 FBS team, whereas Southern's includes all FCS. So and you can't draw a concrete conclusion from it, but we do have, from our scoring offense and scoring defense, we have to factor in, I'm assuming, well, we've only played 2 SWAC games. Well, 3 SWAC games. So I'm assuming that these numbers go across the board, regardless of whether there's a SWAC opponent, it's all opponents.
Yeah, this is the entire season. I didn't.
Oh no, so I mean that makes the point I'm making in that the 15 points scoring defense includes a 38-point burst from South Florida, whereas scoring defense for Southern is against all SWAC opponents at the beginning of the year. Same thing for the offense. So that's not to say that it gives a favor. You can automatically say that FAMU has the advantage, but in terms of the competition, we did play in FCS, we did play in Division 2. So you have to factor that in.
Wait a minute, what'd you say, Kelvin?
FAMU has the advantage. We got the better defense on paper and on the field.
Not gonna disagree. Not gonna disagree at all.
I think it's going to be a battle of wills. It's going to be interesting. And, it may be like closer to that 2001 game, 17-14 versus the 50-48.
Well, let's take a look at Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Kelvin. I'm sorry. I didn't give you a chance to talk on this graphic as well. What's your take here with what you see?
Team similarly built. Southern being at home, I think, maybe kind of evens out the whole defensive thing. They're a strong defensive team. I'm interested to see how we execute. This game is not going to come down to the running games, people. Neither team is going to run the ball very well. So stop it. It's going to come down to turnovers.
I love that. It's not going to come down to the running game. Although, if someone is able to run and be productive, it might very well.
It's going to be a difference maker. If that miracle happens.
Okay, let me go to some other stats. You tell me whether these other stats, if you see anything in here.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, third down conversions, fourth down, red zone, penalties, and sacks. So third down conversion percentage, FAMU third in the conference at 40%. Southern sits right behind us at 35.8. Now, this is more a defense-related stat. Opponents' third down conversion percentage, meaning when we are on defense, what is the likelihood
Too much in the weeds.
Okay, I'd like to explain, but you're right. Okay, let it say what it's going to say. We
It's
have
late.
the top. I got you. Look, Southern is 10th. Take note of that. I think, Southern being 10th is a big opportunity for us when we're on offense on third down. 42.9% of the time Southern gives up. Fourth down conversion, if it gets to that, that's where Southern sort of has excelled this year a little bit. They're at 53%. Defensively on fourth down, Southern 30%. You can see we're kind of middle of the road in both not only fourth down but opponent's fourth down. Red zone offense, I thought was kind of interesting here. Red zone offense, and again, getting into the 20s is considered a red zone. 68% of the time, we have scored some type of point, 7 touchdowns against 4 field goals. We're well aware of Southern's struggle scoring, so it kind of fits with the average there that they are 10th. Defensively, we have been very stout in the red zone, allowing the second fewest in the conference to, of course, Southern. Penalties, I thought, really should be circled. And Steve, you see that. Penalties killing this team. We are second, not only in total penalties, but in average per game. Southern is one of the least penalized teams. So that should be taken into consideration. Sacks against offensive line has done a great job. Even though the offensive line is a shell of what it started as, it's still been pretty good. Musa has only been sacked 7 times this year, which is second fewest in the conference. You can get to Harold Blood. So Anthony Dunn and Geno Hunt in the front 4, those guys should eat. They really should. They really should. Kelvin, I'll start with you. Anything on this page that kind of stands out for you?
No.
How about you, Marcus?
Nope, sacks against. I'm hoping we take advantage of that. Everything else, I think it's going to be a low-scoring defensive game.
Okay. All right. So let's as we get ready to wrap up the show here with our final our picks, our bold predictions, and our how we see this game going. Obviously, nobody really hit on bold predictions last week.
Yeah.
Yeah. pretty bad. Marcus had predicted over 200 rushing yards. Kelvin predicted a shutout. I had over 500 yards of total offense. So we were all. Kelvin was probably the closest, but anyway, it is what it is. Marcus, you and I take the picks for the week because Kelvin really only had one good win. He had Alabama A&M along with you and me. For some reason, he thought UAPB was going to do something. They didn't. We all lost to Alabama State. And then he picked Prairie View over Grambling. So congrats, Marcus. Okay, there's our SWAC
Don't
games.
trust the West.
Hey, you trusted them. We tried to tell you didn't take your own advice. All right.
No,
so
it don't matter who you pick. You don't know who's going to win in the West until he played.
Yeah. You're on the
Grambling going to be the same way. Grambling hadn't really played nobody. Prairie View, they still got to go through Southern and everybody else. So we'll see.
All right, Bethune is traveling to Alabama State. That's a 3 p.m. Eastern game. HBCU go. Who do you like in that one? Kelvin.
Me flip a coin.
You flip a coin.
Here's the tails. I'm gonna go with Alabama State because my man C is gonna be on fire if he lose that one.
Be back to selling homes and insurance.
Yeah, insurance, wherever he came from. Yeah.
Don't do it.
I'm sorry, don't do it. All right, Marcus.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the Hornets.
Man, nobody believes in Bethune-Cookman.
I think they're young.
I think it's gonna be a good game. It's gonna be a close game, but Alabama State needed more, and they're at home.
I'll be the lone wolf. I'll go with Bethune-Cookman. I'll do it. All right. We also got Grambling traveling to Alcorn. That's 3:30 Eastern. It's Alcorn's homecoming. I think Grambling somebody has won this series a lot. I think it's Grambling. I think Grambling has won this series a lot, but this is a game that might knock Alcorn out of the chances of winning the West if Grambling gets this win. Kelvin, who you got?
Don't trust the West. Grambling going down. Alcorn.
Marcus, who you got?
Yeah, I'm a roll with Alcorn too. I think they've had close losses and a close win and a close loss the past week. So I think they've tested their mettle.
Man, I think I'm gonna have to go. Oof. I should be thinking Grambling here. I gotta go Grambling. I gotta go. That was my thought. I'm going Grambling here. So I don't know why. Just something tells me that.
Can they get up twice in a row, back to back?
Yeah, that's the big question. That's the big question. Can they play at that level? But they're on a 3-game winning streak, so they're getting used to winning.
Don't count Florida Memorial, man, and all that other garbage.
Hey, man, you got to play who's there. You got to,
That's what I'm saying. That ain't gonna help on Saturday, though.
No, you're probably right. Okay, neutral site game: Alabama A&M and Jackson State, 4:00 Eastern. That game is played in Mobile, Alabama. Who you got, Kelvin?
Tough, man. I like Connell, and what I saw is going to be more Jackson State fans at the game than A&M game fans, though. I'm gonna go with Maynard reluctantly in a close one. I don't trust him. Don't trust
why
him.
would you go? Why would you go with him if you don't trust him? That's crazy. I don't trust him. But I'm gonna
Because his offense looked really good against Tuskegee. So I got to see it again to see if that if the quarterback really if they got something. But I'm gonna go with him because he ain't scared.
That's a horrible reason. Go ahead, Marcus.
I'm gonna go with Jackson State.
Me
I think
too.
they're gonna pound them with the run game, and that guy,
Irv Mulligan.
Mulligan. I mean, he looks good.
Mulligan. He remember the name Irv Mulligan. Just in contention.
I mean, they struggled. Hey, y'all now. Let's be honest. Now, y'all saw Bethune and Jackson State. At least I did. I watched that game and
Bethune should have won.
This ain't last year Jackson State now. So
it's not.
Don't act like Alabama ended up going against a juggernaut. Play your clip again. You a plum fool.
What you say there? What you say there? Boy, you a plum fool. All right. I think we're all gonna take Prairie View over Valley.
Yeah.
Valley on the road to Prairie View. I'm not even gonna put that down. So yeah. Some other games of note. We're not gonna pick these, but I just thought I'd mention them. In the SIC, which is probably the SIC game of the week, Benedict, the #1 team in many people's polls, traveling to Miles. Over in the CIAA, Virginia State unbeaten, many people's #2 ranked team, traveling to Bowie. Bowie State been, under the Damon Wilson era, they were the standard in the CIAA. And so if there's anything left in the tank for Bowie's season, it comes this week. North Carolina Central, after the big emotional win, double overtime against Campbell. Now they got to get on the road and go prove it again against another CAA team in Elon. Elon that beat up on North Carolina A&T, by the way. Then Hampton, the team that I really feel like is playing like maybe the best team in Black college football. They're hosting Campbell. Campbell coming off the loss last week. Any game that any of those games you see an upset, Kelvin, or maybe a game that you really feel solid about?
Campbell
what?
Campbell Hampton.
Okay.
I believe they're gonna get upset.
Who? Hampton or Campbell?
Campbell. I would imagine Hampton is the favorite.
Should be. If not, I'll be looking to put some down on Hampton. I'm just saying. Okay, interesting. Marcus, who you got? What game you like?
I think the intriguing one will probably be Campbell Hampton. Just because, from an intrigue standpoint, because wasn't Campbell like ranked the recruiting classes the last couple of years, like top in FCS, and they're not playing like it. So I think it'll go a long way towards establishing Hampton if Hampton wins. Towards, whatever accolade. Yeah, but it seems like the hype that they've been getting for the recruiting classes isn't translating to FCS level success. So it'll be interesting to see. And plus, Hampton's early schedule's been winning over HBCU teams, and then they got a good win over what would be I guess it's considered a CAA, usually one of the better programs in Richmond. Richmond has 2 L's. Yeah, 2 L's to HBCUs, which isn't normally the case.
Right. We'll see what Richmond does the rest of the year to know whether that was a good win or just Richmond on the downside. All right. Bold prediction, FAMU Southern. It's a 7 o'clock. Wait a minute. What time is it again?
It's 7 Eastern.
7 Eastern on ESPNU. Rattlers coming to the ball game. with a 10-game SWAC winning streak. 10-game SWAC winning streak. All kinds of winning streaks happening right now for FAMU. 7-game SWAC road win streak. All kinds of goodness. So here we go. Bold prediction time. All of us have one win. 1-1 and 1. Nobody has a second just yet. So, Kelvin, since you've been going first, we'll let you start it off. What's your bold prediction for this game?
The winner of this game will win on a special team score. Whether that be kick return, punt return. I'm really thinking field goals because touchdowns going to be hard to come by. But I'm predicting a special teams score being the difference.
All right. Interesting. Okay. Marcus, what's your bold prediction?
I'm going to say FAMU gets 2 interceptions. And we haven't, I know we got fumble recovery for a TD last week and pick 6 the week before. But I don't know if we haven't, our turnover margin's in the negative, so we need to turn that around. I think we're going to start to turn that around in this game. For the season, our turnover margin's in the negative.
All right. So
our back four has not performed up to the preseason accolade at this point. I agree.
Okay, so I got Marcus down for 2 interceptions. I'm going with Musa plus 320 yards passing.
Oof.
Yeah, I said it. That's the name of the segment. The name of this, that's called bold prediction. And 2 touchdowns, at least 2 touchdowns. You're gonna see. I'm gonna be like Coach Simmons. That's my quarterback.
I hope so.
That's my quarterback. All right.
That's my quarterback.
We're working on. We know many of you won't be going to Baton Rouge. Stay tuned. We got a special thing we're working on. We're trying to work on something, a watch party opportunity that you hang with us on Saturday night and watch this game and then kind of be able to chat with us and all this other stuff. So it's in the works. Hopefully, once we finish off all the bells and whistles, we can start publicizing and taking donations, selling tickets. But that's coming up later. Just make sure you're following ONG Strike Zone, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Follow the Jericho Broadcast Networks app on the Google Play and the Apple App Store. Why can't I say all that tonight? And then also do us a favor. Go look for the BCSN Pod Zone everywhere you listen and download podcasts. Spotify, Apple, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, all those fun places, so on and so forth. Any other promotions or anything else I forget, gentlemen? You can see down in the scroll.
Family by 40.
Show. Look, that's a bold prediction. That's what you should have said.
Don't become Internet Kelvin.
The Internet Kelvin. Yeah, exactly. We'll see how that works out. Yeah, so we're working on it. You guys hang with us. Make sure you're following us on all the social media pages. There's our individual Twitter handles and such. You can always donate to the show on Facebook, or sorry, not Facebook, YouTube. You can also hit the Cash App as well. So that's going to do it. Anybody got any final words, or are we good to go?
Should be good to go. Looks like Coach Wrist Press is going on a offering feast in New Orleans.
Really?
Yep. at least like 6 or 7 offers tonight to Ed Nakar, who's a typical hour in New Orleans football.
Wow. Okay. All right. I'd be remiss if we didn't say Happy Founders Day yesterday. FAMU, 136 years old. Hopefully you guys celebrated by wearing orange and green, educated somebody like I did. I was able to educate a couple people who didn't know. My students, educate them about Florida A&M University. And then also we got to offer our prayers to the community at Morgan State University. A release came out that their homecoming, because it is homecoming week. The shooting that took place last night. I don't know if it was. I don't know if the shooter has been caught. Last time I heard, he was still at large.
He's still at large.
Yeah. So, and have there been any casualties, or has it just been people?
No, there weren't. There are 5 people injured, 4 of whom were students. There were 4 males and 1 female, and the non-life-threatening injuries.
Oh, well, that's good.
And they canceled classes for the rest of the week in addition to homecoming.
Yeah, classes are canceled this week. Homecoming, unfortunately, is canceled. No word on if that game that was supposed to be played.
It's canceled.
The game is canceled too. So the Morgan
Stony
State
against Stony Brook at home.
That's tough.
It is.
So, but we understand, bigger picture, especially with the shooter still running around. They got to find that person. They got to find him. So keep the Morgan State community in your prayers for safety and love, and we'll go from there. So that's going to do it for this show. I want to thank our guests for coming in and joining us earlier in the show. Justin Smith, Arrington Porter of the FAMU Strikerz Soccer Club. Go find them on Instagram at FAMU Strikerz, STRIKERZ is where you can find them on Instagram. You can also support them on Cash App, $FAMU Soccer is how you can support them. And then also got to thank Carlos Brown, good friend of the show, good friend of the Black College Sports Network. We're talking about Southern University. All right, Kelvin, Marcus, appreciate you. We'll talk more offline as we get ready to go into Southern Week. Got to give a happy birthday shout out to Majesty Hemingway. Her birthday's today. Obviously I know
yes,
this has got to be it's got to be a tough birthday. Her first without Kofi. But we know he's watching over his little angel. And so we send our prayers and our thoughts and our love to Majesty. And so we ask that you do the same since, Kofi's not here to do it. But we're going to lift up Majesty in our thoughts and prayers. And hopefully she's able to have a blessed birthday and feel the love from friends and family alike. So that's going to do it for tonight. Thanks for watching, everybody. You guys are great. You guys are the best. We love you, Rattler Nation. Thanks for watching the show. And until we see you, make sure to be watching out for that news coming out. Hopefully we'll see you this weekend, getting ready to beat Southern and in Baton Rouge. For Kelvin, Marcus, I'm Brian Fulford. Peace out.